Hi everybody! Welcome back to the Eel Pit. Today in the Eel Pit we have some gar and some... wait, hang on. Give me a second. Well, hi, how you doing? We're back with Scum Villain! And I'm so happy! Hello! Oh, hello, Shalene, hello! Oh my god. Oh my god, I have Twitch chat up. Sorry, YT. But... Did you know if you want your YouTube chat, you gotta put in... You have to, like, put in the key... what, I don't know, the fucking link every single time? I don't think so. Sorry. It's just not gonna happen at this point. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What we do have to worry about is what the fuck happens next in this book. I mean, I don't have to worry about it. But you do. I'm so excited to read this. I love this book. This is the last chapter. I don't know if we're gonna be able to finish the whole thing. It is like 60, 70 pages long, so and usually we get through like 40 to 50, so it might be a little much, but we will try anyway. And honestly, if we have like just a little bit left of the end of the end at the end of this book, I might just continue with the next book. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. It's Scum Villain. It's Scum Villain. It's fine. Anyway, we are on chapter 21, the last chapter. Happy Halloween month, yeah! Hell yeah! Hells yeah! Hells yeah! Happy Halloweenies. Okay. You're not hearing any doubles or anything. All of my sources, there's nothing. Okay, we're good. We're fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. All right, we're fine. I think so. I think we're okay. You know, I almost ate a whole Napa cabbage today. Anyway, let's start. Let's start reading. Nothing wrong. Okay, thank you very much. On page 273. I haven't read in 2 weeks, so we'll see. Well, a week, two. I don't know. Cabbage is so good. Oh my god, it's so good. I have my tea. It's still hot. Okay, where did we leave off though? It was oh. We left off with Shang Qinghua being yeeted into the fucking cave. Yeah, that's where we left off. Alright, let's go. With lightning speed, Shen Qingqiu grabbed a handful of leaves from a vine. He just charged into the cave with the rest when he heard a voice. So we meet again, Peak Lord Shen. At the back of the cave, Jinmo had been stabbed into a crack within the rocks. That black chi and purple miasma they'd seen was pouring from its blade. Tianlangjun sat atop a green stone, and not too far in front of it stood Shang Qinghua. Sunlight from outside spilled into the cave, illuminating part of Tianlangjun's body. Right away, someone gasped, drawing in a mouthful of cold air. Shen Qingqiu finally understood why Shang Qinghua had screamed so terribly seconds ago. Though the smile on Tianlangjun's face was as elegant as ever, the right half of his face was near entirely the dark purple of necrosis, making his smile tremendously unnerving. His left sleeve hung limp, completely empty. It seemed the arm that had kept falling off could no longer be reattached. This dilapidated, near decimated appearance was far from the final boss Shen Qingqiu had envisioned. He couldn't help but pay attention to Luo Binghe, but on that face there was only a tranquility that seemed almost wooden, and Shen Qingqiu couldn't tell what it meant. Tianlangjun tilted his head. Less people than I would have thought. I expected it to be like that time on Bailu Mountain, with hundreds of masters all coming at me at once. Wu Wang humphed. Look at that ghastly appearance of yours. Not to mention, you're without even a single underling. Who would need that many people? I indeed have not a single underling, but I do have a nephew. The words had barely left Tianlangjun's mouth When a green shadow flashed through the cave, Zhu Lang silently placed himself in front of Tianlang Jun, shielding him. My baby! That's my baby! For some reason, this master and servant both gave off an air of wretchedness. Being unsuited to demonic energy, Tianlang Jun's dew mushroom body had deteriorated to the point of falling apart. It was understandable. However, Zhu Lang's eyes too had yellowed, and his neck, cheeks, forehead, arms, just about any part of him that was exposed, now crawled with scales. The result was sinister and frightening, as well as deeply reminiscent of his half-man, half-snake form back in the cave of Bailu. And boy, does he have a nephew. He does. Who is saying... Okay. Peak Lord Shen, he rasped. Yes, it's me, said Shen Qingqiu. How did you end up like this? And what connections do you have with this person this time, Shidi? Yue Qingyuan asked, composed as ever. Deep connections. The situation had only progressed to its current state, with the heavy involvement of said person. Shen Qingqiu wanted to say something when Tianlang Jun raised his chin, squinting at Yue Qingyuan. I remember you. After thinking for a bit, he said with conviction, Back then, the Hanhua Palace's old geezer wanted you to help him with the ambush, but you ignored him. So you're the current sect leader of Sangchong Mountain. Not bad. Your distinguished self's memory is also quite good. Tianlang Jun smiled and what? Tianlang Jun smiled and smiled, then gave a sigh. If you were also trapped in the pitch-black darkness for over 10 years, unable to glimpse the sky or the sun, with nothing to pass the days but for reminiscing over past affairs, your memory would be quite good as well. This time, no one answered him. Shen Qingqiu gripped Xuan Su, then struck at Tianlang Jun with... No, wait, I said that wrong. Yue Qingyuan gripped Xuan Su, then struck at Tianlang Jun with the sheathed sword. Tianlang Jun barely managed to evade. With a rumbling roar, half of the cave wall behind him collapsed right then and there, opening up a large hole. Outside there was nothing but sky, while swirling sand and loose rocks plummeted into the depths below. Cold air streamed into the cave as fine snowflakes drifted in a slow dance, dazzling the eyes. From the frozen river, 300 meters below, one could faintly hear wave after wave of beastly howls and the sounds of slaughter. The first wave of southern border demons had already landed. Let me guess. Baijian Peak is again fighting as the vanguard. Am I correct? Tianlang Jun asked. The dozens of people on the scene disappeared. Dispersed, then rushed him from various angles. At the front of the assault, Wu Wang swung his staff with fierce vigor, his movements vicious. Though Xuan Su slowly forced Zhu Lang back, he still dutifully drew the brunt of the attacks. Tianlang Jun continued to sit upon his stone, completely at ease. Okay, maybe I'm crazy, but in worlds where Shenju is dead, I kinda ship Tianlang Jun with Yes. 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 Uh-huh. For sure. I remember that you also waited until the last moment to draw your sword that day, he said to Yue Qingyuan. Doing the same now? Yue Qingyuan didn't answer. He was about to land a palm strike on Zhu Lang when another sect leader stole in front of him and attacked first. Zhu Lang neither avoided nor retreated, taking the blow head-on, but it was the sect leader who screamed instead. Shen Qingqiu's pupil contracted. Don't touch him, he yelled. His entire body is poisonous. In the chaos of battle, several people were poisoned, while several others were sent flying out of the cave by the explosive surges of demonic qi and spiritual energy. They careened out into the high altitudes, plummeting downward before they managed to flip themselves back onto their swords, thereby regaining their footing. Shang Qinghua stealthily snuck towards Shen Qingqiu's location. Zhu Lang was overwhelmed by the excitement of battle, so when he glimpsed a suspicious figure creeping away, he flung 2 green snakes at them without thinking. Shen Qingqiu saw all this clearly. He flipped his hand over, ready to send out a leaf to save Great Master Airplane's life, when the two snakes were suddenly pierced in midair by a razor-sharp shard of ice. Mobae-jun appeared within the circle of battle like a wraith. Ah, I love that. I love that description. He picked up Shang Qinghua, tossing him to Shen Qingzhou's direction, like one would a little chick, then pummeled Judy Long with his fists. He said, no one can hurt this man except for me. Except for me. Only me, only me. Because he loves him. In the ensuing 10 seconds, Shen Qingzhou witnessed what a real beatdown looked like. When Judy Long, under Mobae-jun's crazed and relentless assault, the attacks besieging Tianlang-jun suddenly grew fiercer. Though Tianlang-jun was missing an arm and was only one against many, his poise wasn't at all diminished. Why must you be like this again, ganging up on one person? Don't you think that victory won by unequal advantage is immoral? The sect leader attacked him. Against a malicious and demonic monster like you, who wishes to see the world burn, what morals are there to speak of? In the next moment, the sect leader's skull split open like a... Wait, who is the sect leader? This is Wu Wang, right? Oh no, this is a random one. Never mind. Against a malicious and demonic monster like you, who wishes to see the world burn, what morals are there to speak of? In the next moment, the sect leader's skull split open like a garlic clove, rent into multiple chunks. Tianlang-jun pulled his hand back and smiled. Honestly, in the beginning I had no malice, nor did I find fun in the idea of the world burning. I only occasionally crossed the border, coming here to sing songs or read books. It was quite nice. However, since I've already been in residence beneath Bailu Mountain for so many years, if I don't follow through on something along the lines of your thoughts, I truly find my circumstances a bit too unjustified. Yue Qingyuan flicked his finger. Xuansu spread 3 inches from its sheath, its spiritual energy seething. The bones of Tianlang-jun's body cracked and popped, almost like his joints had been dislocated. He made a sound of surprise. As expected of a sect leader. Not bad. Your master was quite mediocre, but had quite the eye for disciples and successors. Then Tianlang-jun reached out and grabbed Xuansu's blade directly, as if he couldn't feel a thing. But why not draw it all the way? He said with a smile. You can't do anything to me with only this much. Get cannoned. Yue Qingyuan's gaze hardened, and Xuansu jumped another half-inch from its sheath. He can't do anything to you, Lo Bingke said, sudden and cold. But what about me? Bingy! Tianlang-jun's smile hadn't faded when suddenly a stream of powerful demonic chi slammed into him like a flow from an axe. What? Like a blow from an axe. His remaining arm was blasted off from his body, then whipped outside the cave by a gust of wind, hurtling down and away from Maigu Ridge. Lo Bingke was finally taking action. With this father versus son rematch, it was finally Tianlang-jun's turn to be powerless to fight back. Lo Bingke's eyes were blindingly crimson, his face taut, and his actions were ruthless, without the slightest hint of mercy. With both of Tianlang-jun's arms severed, he even began to look like he had been overwhelmed and backed into a corner. Meanwhile, after much difficulty, Zhu Lang had managed to break free from Mobae-jun. His face was a mess of blood and gore, but when he saw his master in trouble, he rushed straight over, like all the bloodlust had gone to his head. Right at that moment, Tianlang-jun's demonic chi swept over Wu Wang, sending him flying as blood sprayed from his mouth, and Master Wu Chen ran to catch him. Zhu Lang was about to slam into him when Shen Qingzhou saw this unfortunate turn and swept in front of Wu Chen, shielding him. As soon as Judy Long saw Chen Qingqiu, a shred of clarity flashed through those bright yellow eyes, and he abruptly braked, disrupting his balance as he staggered and nearly fell. Just as he was about to detour around Chen Qingqiu to assist Tianlang Jun, a beam of white light shot swiftly toward them. Judy Long's back slammed heavily into the cave wall. He'd been impaled through the chest against the rocks. My boy. The long, slender blade buried in his chest belonged to Zheng Yang. Who the fuck are you? Who? Who the fuck is Zheng Yang? Huh? It's okay. Shen Qingqiu turned his head to see Luo Bingke suddenly withdraw his hand. Wait, was that Bingke's blade? Oh my god. Tianlang Jun serenely stood about 6 meters behind him. After a short while, he gracefully fell to the ground. Silence. Was it over? That easily? Part of Shen Qingqiu couldn't believe it. He'd barely done anything, and it was over? He patted Shang Qinghua's shoulder. Didn't you say that Tianlang Jun would be hard? Shang Qinghua was still in a state of shock. He is hard. Is this victory logical? No matter how hard... Who is saying this? No matter how hard the boss is, he shouldn't think about flaunting his power in front of the protagonist. Isn't that the widely accepted logic? The two of them looked around. They'd come with dozens of people with full HP bars, and now barely 2 or 3 were still standing. Shen Qingqiu then looked at the two individuals who he'd previously regarded as the super hard final boss team. One was impaled against the wall and soaked in fresh blood, while the other lay flat on the ground. Together they made a great match for descriptions like trampled and tattered doll and a puppet with its strings cut. He felt not the slightest bit of the exhilaration one usually got from beating a final boss. The more he looked, the more he felt that it was basically the same as bullying the sick and elderly, or shamelessly ganging up on victims using strength in numbers. And they'd indeed ganged up on these two. But who could have known that this would be the result? The boss's strength was way too far below what he'd imagined. Luo Bingke turned, expression tranquil, and without a drop of blood on him. Shall we kill him? He was referring to Tianlang Jun. When Judy Long heard this, he grabbed Zheng Yang's blade, struggling to pull it out. A great deal of the scales on his neck had been scraped off in the battle. As he exerted himself now, blood flowed forth from his body in streams. Ever since Shen Qingqiu had learned of Gong Yizhao's death at Judy Long's hands, a knot had existed in his heart, but this image was too unbearable. It was difficult not to feel sympathy. Though Shen Qingqiu had been screwed over countless times by his bizarre methods of repayment, Judy Long had never shown him any malice. Shen Qingqiu sighed. Look at the state you're in. Why let yourself suffer so? Judy Long coughed up a mouthful of foamy blood and rasped. The state I'm in? He smiled bitterly. What if I said that my appearance at Bailu Mountain was my actual true form? What would you think then, immortal Master Shen? It was like a bolt of lightning had struck Shen Qingqiu's forehead. What? So the slithering snake man from Bailu Forest, that was Judy Long's original form? Judy Long gasped for breath. My bloodline is lowly, all because my father was a simple-minded giant snake. I had this half-man, half-snake appearance from the moment my mother gave birth to me. Until I was 15, I always hated and discarded, I was always hated and discarded, or insulted and driven away. If not for my lord, who helped me take on a man's form, even guided and supported me, I would have spent my entire life as a monster that could only wriggle on the ground. He gritted his teeth. My lord gave me my first chance to become a person, and Immortal Master Shen gave me my second. Perhaps, to both of you, It was only a small thing, no more effort than lifting a finger. But to me, these were favors I must repay, even if they cost me thousands of lives. And Immortal Master Shen asked me why I let myself suffer. Tell me, how have I suffered? Tianlangjun suddenly sighed. Foolish child, why say so much to him? Only baby, don't listen to him. He is adorable even. I don't like this part. Though he was on the ground, his poise was still as graceful as ever. If you could remove the half of his face that had deteriorated from demonic chi, he would have looked even more elegant. People always believed that those of different race have different hearts as well, he said leisurely as he stared upward. Even the person dearest to you can deceive you in the blink of an eye. Besides, it was only ever your one-sided desire to repay him. No matter what you say, he won't understand you. He'll only find it troublesome and refuse to comprehend. So why say so much? In a moment, everyone at the scene fell silent. There's a noise outside. I'm indoors. The fuck is that? Whatever. I'm telling you, just mad that Juji won't listen to him and preserve it. Don't even. Oh my god. Ow. Oh, it hurts. No, okay, it's fine. It's fine. Let's just continue, I guess. I don't know what the fuck that noise is, but ignoring it. Once a good and guileless young man, Tianlangjun had joyfully fallen in love, yet it had been nothing more than a sham. Then for countless days and nights he'd been sealed beneath a high mountain where there was neither sun nor sky. Who had the right to stop him from resenting them? Who had the right to make him let it go and look on the bright side? Yet, Master Wu Chen said, if your distinguished self really possessed no malicious designs back then we are at fault for listening to slander. If so, this calamity today was something we could neither run from nor avoid. Those who sow seeds of evil will reap the rewards, for all will eventually come around. He brought his palms together. But even if it means ingesting poison, Benefactor Su wanted to see you, so how can you condemn her for deceiving you? Tianlangjun startled a little, then raised his head. Shen Jingzhou was also stunned. He knew that Master Wu Chen would never lie, yet the version of the story he told next was completely different from what the others had known to be true. Oh, I don't know if I can hold it together with the stream. Oh no. Oh no. Back at Jiaohua Monastery, said Master Wu Chen, because this one didn't wish to subject Benefactor Su to criticism when she had already passed, and because this one promised to keep it secret, he was unable to speak the truth. The old palace master brought Benefactor Su back to Huanhua Palace by force. She absolutely refused to obey orders, refused to trick you into going into the site of the ambush, where several dozen arrays had been set in advance. The old palace master only discovered she was pregnant when subjecting her to torture within the water prison. Forcibly aborting the fetus would have endangered her life, and on top of that, Benefactor Su was resisting with all her might. So the old palace master gave her a bowl of poison, that poison fatal to the demon race. He told her that as long as she was willing to drink it, he'd let her out to see you. Fucking bitch. Benefactor Su drank what the old palace master gave her, then left the palace alone. But she didn't realize that change takes but an instant, that the situation was already other than what she thought. The old palace master had switched the site of the attack to Bailu Mountain, where the two of you had met in the past. Tianlangjun was completely stunned. His body was mangled, and blood still stained the corner of his mouth. Despite this, he struggled to raise his head, like he wanted to hear more clearly. There was an indescribable pitifulness to him. This one met Benefactor Su on the road to Bailu Mountain. At that time, it hadn't been long since she'd drunk the poison. She was covered in blood, and it dripped with every step she took. This one listened to the few lines she gasped out and guessed the general situation. Unable to bear deceiving her, he told her that several days before, Tianlangjun had already been sealed for all eternity. Only then did she realize that her master had told her a monstrous lie. Not only the location, but even the time had been false, all for the sake of making her drink that poison. In accordance with her pleas, this one helped her avoid the Hanhua Palace disciples who'd come to capture her, then escorted her to the Lowell River's upper reaches. After that, he never saw any trace of her again. Tianlangjun, Benefactor Su indeed might not have been a wholly good person. Originally, she stood high as the next Hanhua Palace master, with great expectations upon her. In the beginning, her decision to approach you might not have been made with good intentions, but afterward, which was it? Did you maliciously bewitch her? Did she set you up and deceive you? Or were both of you simply unable to help your feelings? This one is an outsider, so he can know nothing of your heart. But what he does know is what he did see was Benefactor Su refusing to listen to the orders of the master who'd raised her for over a decade. Even when tormented in the water prison, she refused to say anything, refused to trick or harm you. If not as a last resort, what mother in the world would drink that kind of poison? It wasn't that she didn't care about you, but that she was without alternative. Yet the world is pitiless, and so you passed each other by. I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh. You're much more than the token headship. So true. So true. Oh my god, they won't stop. Oh my god. Okay, it's fine. Tianlangjun's lips seemed to tremble slightly. A long moment passed, then he said, "Is that so?" Right after those 3 words, he asked again, "Truly?" "This one swears upon his life that his words contains not a single falsehood," said Master Wu Chen. Tianlangjun turned his head to look at Shen Qingqiu and Yue Qingyuan. As if seeking confirmation, he asked, "Truly?" He didn't even care whether someone was in the know. He was just asking anyone he could. Unable to say anything, Yue Qingyuan silently lowered his head. It was unclear what he thought. Shen Qingqiu deliberated over it further, then finally gave a slow nod. Perhaps the old palace master originally had no intention of vilifying and harming Tianlangjun, but as he watched his disciple grow closer and closer to him, he must have regretted sending Su Xian to approach the demon. He allowed her to leave his control and fall in mutual love with Tianlangjun, even conceiving Luo Bingke. So the old palace master had made up his mind. He distorted the truth and cherry-picked the details. His orchestrations transformed Tianlangjun into a matchless fiend who wanted to overturn the 3 realms. And so he'd brought ruin to so many lives and so many years. The smattering of snowflakes on Tianlangjun's eyelashes trembled with their movement. Then, like all his strength had suddenly left him, he lay down once more. He sighed. "All right. In any case, finally something less terrible unfolds." He truly just did not deserve any of that. He's just a Fudachi. Well, I don't know. He just likes literature. He's just a fucking lit. I don't know, man. He's just a fucking theater kid, basically. He's. Oh man. Okay. I can't. He just gives up. Oh, I love him so much. Shen Jingzhou turned his head to look at Luo Bingke. He'd listened from beginning to end, but it was like he'd heard nothing at all, like none of this concerned him. He even let out a light laugh. With this truth out in the open, the knot within Tianlangjun's heart had naturally come undone, but to Luo Bingke, the cruelty of the situation hadn't lessened in the least. Regardless of whether it was because his parents hated him or because they had given up on him, in the end, he had been thrown away. Fucking, why are they all so fucking sad? I hate this book. Fuck you, MXTX. Holy shit. Black smoke and purple miasma continued to spew from Shinmo without a pause, and the sounds of slaughter from below grew clearer and clearer. Maigu Ridge's descent was still ongoing. Just how much distance remained before they reached the Luo River's frozen surface? Yuan Yuan took several steps towards where Shinmo was embedded in the wall. The situation has thus far unraveled, Shen Jingzhou said. Bring this to an end, Tianlangjun. If Tianlangjun stopped now, it wouldn't be too late. But if he continued to supply Shinmo with demonic qi, then their only option to prevent the merge would be to kill him. And now that all was said and done, Shen Jingzhou didn't particularly wish for Tianlangjun to actually die. After all, to end up in this state due to falling in love was really just unfortunate. To demand his life on top of that. What kind of boss was this pitiful? Yet Tianlangjun suddenly let out a stifled laugh, the sound echoing through the cave. Look, Peak Lord Shen, he said, tilting his head like he found something incredibly funny. As I am, I can't even maintain Judy Lang's human form anymore. At that moment, Shen Jingzhou didn't yet realize the meaning within Tianlangjun's words. He only felt something lurch within his heart. I shit, I don't have tissues next to me. Fuck. Oh, I should have been more prepared. Having fought with you all for so long, the toll on this body of mine was no small matter, said Tianlangjun, slow and measured. Who do you think has been sustaining Shinmo and supplying it with demonic qi all this time? His words were neither fast nor slow, but as they entered Shen Jingzhou's ears, each one seemed to plunge him into icy water, and his neck slowly stiffened. You shouldn't be telling someone to bring an end to this. You should be telling someone to bring an end to this, yes. Only that person isn't me. Tianlangjun's arms were broken beyond repair, and Judy Lang was impaled against the stone wall. Master Wu Chen was supporting Wang Wu, whose head bled profusely. Mo Beijun had Shang Qinghua dangling in his hold, and Yue Qingyuan stood beside Shen Jingzhou. Only Luo Bingke stood directly opposite Shinmo's position, his head lowered as he leisurely adjusted his sleeves. Luo Bingke, come here, Shen Jingzhou said solemnly. Luo Bingke shook his head once, only once, but very resolutely. You lied to me again, Shen Jingzhou said, dismayed. Luo Bingke's movements paused, and he asked, Shizun, I said I would help you against Tianlangjun. I can kill him for you right now and right away. So how can you say I lied to you? Tianlangjun smiled. Letting the enemy go to cover for one's own work, that was quite a good move. But unfortunately, I'm not very useful, so in the end, he had to take action himself. Upon hearing the words, letting the enemy go to cover for one's own work, Shen Jingzhou's heart became increasingly uneasy. Did Luo Bingke purposefully give Shinmo to Tianlangjun? After all, Tianlangjun's dew mushroom body had deteriorated faster with Shinmo in his possession, so even if the sword was given to him, it couldn't have posed much of a threat to Luo Bingke. Perhaps Shen Jingzhou was too disoriented and allowed his thoughts to show on his face, because Luo Bingke said sorrowfully, Shizun, what are you thinking now? He did steal Shinmo. It's just that Shinmo still recognizes me as its master. You said before that you would rather trust me and accept the consequences than not assume you can't trust me at all. Why do you not trust me again? I've trusted you many times, Shen Jingzhou said slowly. Up until just now, I still trusted you. Is that so? Said Luo Bingke, his face twisted into a smile. But I don't dare trust Shizun anymore. That smile was incredibly uncanny. Oh, he's gonna go away. Shen Jingzhou sensed something was wrong, so he softened his expression and tone. What's gotten into you this time? The moment he softened, Luo Bingke suddenly stopped smiling. His appearance was full of sorrow and despair. Shizun, I've said this before. The times you're with them are really the times you're happiest. To begin with, Shen Jingzhou had yet to figure out who them referred to. Luo Bingke slowly paced back and forth before the stone wall where Shinmo was embedded. He laughed in self-mockery. Every time I asked Shizun to leave with me, you never agreed, not even once. When you did come, it was because I demanded it by force, not because you were willing. But when they asked you to stay, you never hesitate. He looked at Shen Jingzhou. Shizun, you don't smile often. I love seeing you smile. But whenever I recall that you only smile like that when you're with them, he said very quietly, it hurts me very, very much. Shen Jingzhou finally understood. Them referred to Sangchong Mountain. Ouchie, indeed. Hi, Apple. Fuck. That day in the bamboo house, Lu Qingge had suddenly opened the windows to investigate, so it really had been because he'd sensed a hint of murderous intent Luo Bingke had let leak while loitering outside, as well as his aura of rage and despair. Does my customer service for real? Instead of leaving, he'd stayed to hear the laughter within the bamboo house, as well as that single of agreement, and he'd engraved all of it within his heart. That's why you're angry? Said Shen Jingzhou. Angry? Luo Bingke darkly spat out 2 words. I hate. Then, I hate myself. His pace quickened with his irritation, his hands clasped behind his back. I hate how useless I am. I hate how I can never keep anyone, how no one has ever chosen me. Everyone in the cave was unable to make any sudden moves. Luo Bingke was currently maintaining Shinmo's energy supply, and nobody wanted him to suddenly lash out. I gotta turn my tears back on. Oh shit. I had 2 seconds of not crying. I had 2 seconds of not crying. Uh-oh. Lash out. By doing this, you mean to force him to choose between the two? Judy Long asked. Luo Bingke paused and shook his head. Choose between the two? No, that's not it. I know if he chooses, Shizun definitely won't pick me. So it's fine if he has no choice to make. A slight flush infused his stark white face, derived from a kind of strange excitement. This time, I've learned my lesson. If Sangchong Mountain ceases to exist, everything will be fine, right? That way, Shizun will only have me. Master Wu Chen chanted sutras and pressed his palms together, saying Amitabha. Then he said, Benefactor Lo, you're possessed. Lo Bingka burst out into loud, unrestrained laughter. If you leave him no choice, then of course... this is Master Wu Chen, my bad. If you leave him no choice, then of course you can't be abandoned, Master Wu Chen continued. But how will you deal with Peak Lord Shen's actions and behavior toward you afterward? Shizun, if Qingjing Peak is gone, I can build you another, Lo Bingka said gently. It's fine if you resent me. It's fine if you hate me. I won't make any great demands. If you're unsatisfied, you can hit me, try to kill me. After all, I won't die. As long as you don't leave me. He spoke so earnestly. Truly, I only have this one wish. Lo Bingka's smile was twisted, his pupils dilated, the blood-red irises rimming them periodically expanding and contracting. Shinmo overflowed with purple light. It was impossible to tell if he was controlling the sword or if the sword was controlling him. As Shen Qingqiu observed Lo Bingka's disoriented, chi-deviated appearance, a bitter taste filled his mouth, and he couldn't bring himself to speak. Other than Sangchong Mountain... Oh my god, this is... Okay, sorry. Other than Sangchong Mountain, this world has thousands of things that immortal Master Shen values, said Zhuji Lang. Are you going to destroy all those as well? Yes, said Lo Bingka, smiling. Why not? He tilted his head, then suddenly exploded with rage. Shut him up! Mo Beijun heard these words, thought for a moment, and threw a punch at Zhuji Lang's face. Tianlang Jun studied Lo Bingka, and pity flashed through his gaze. Jin Mo has already invaded his mind, he sighed. He's gone mad. This was the one and only time since his first meeting with Lo Bingka that he looked something like a father. I'm fine. I'm clearly fine. I don't have any issues at all. Like, why would why would I? But Lo Bingka didn't notice at all, just nodded and smiled. Yes, I've gone mad. Upon hearing him admit to his lunacy, Shen Qingzhou's heart spasmed with a dull pain. Bingka, get away from that sword first, he said quietly. The farther the better. As he gently coaxed him, he secretly placed a hand on Shu Ya's hilt, the action concealed by his wide sleeve. Lo Bingka laughed. It's no use. Shizun, you don't need to do this. The nicer you are to me, the more afraid I become. Whew. As he spoke, his right hand made a slight upward gesture. In an instant, Shinmo's purple chi overflowed. Zhuji Lang spat out a mouthful of congested blood. The punch, a moment ago, had only shut him up for a while. He calmly said, Pitiful. Pitiful? Lo Bingka muttered. That's right, I am pitiful. It'd be fine if it's out of pity, too. Will Shizun stay by my side just this once? Tears rolled down Lo Bingka's cheeks, and his pupils reddened as he gritted his teeth. Shizun, you've let go of me again and again. Always, anyone and anything. They all become a reason to abandon me, until sometimes you don't even need a reason. It's always like this. Suddenly, Shang Qinghua fell to the ground with a thud. Shen Qingqiu also unconsciously grabbed onto the stone wall. The entire ground started to shake violently. Maigu Ridge's descent had sped up. He's gone mad, Chidi, Yue Qingyuan said mildly. How will you deal with this? Luo Binghe sneered and backed up 2 steps, then abruptly grabbed Shinmo's hilt. The tremors became stronger and stronger. Looking out through the hole in the cave, one could see innumerable mountain peaks of different heights jutting through the rolling clouds. Shen Jingzhou was about to pull out Xu Ya when suddenly a blinding white light shone from behind him. Yue Qingyuan had drawn his sword first. The sword's howl rippled through the drifting snow and purple qi. Xuansu had been unsheathed. Mo Beijun saw Yue Qingyuan point the sword at Luo Binghe and stepped up to fight. Xuansu's spiritual energy surged, and Mo Beijun was blown away before they even made contact. Oh my god. Freaking Luo Binghe. This is why we don't pick up weird swords named mental illness. It's just literally, oh man. Oh my god, okay. Anyway, this might be my favorite part ever. Mo Beijun looked like he'd never expected that a day would come where someone would send him flying. In a flash, he'd been thrown off Maigu Ridge, that expression still glued to his face. Zhang Qinghua seemed frightened out of its wits. He snatched up a sword and rushed forward, but Shen Jingzhou quickly grabbed him. What are you doing? Zhang Qinghua roared. Fuck! He can't fly! With that, he leapt down. Shen Jingzhou braved the gales and Shen Jingzhou braved the gales and flurries of snow to peer down through the rupture. He just managed to see Zhang Qinghua riding his sword and catching Mo Beijun, still 300 meters above the ice. I should have been ready for this. I really should have been ready for this. Fuck. I should have been ready. Ah! Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Save as. Save as. I'm not still crying. It's okay. He saved him! He's saving him! This might be my favorite illustration in this whole book. Out of all time. It's my favorite. It's my favorite because they are my favorite. And I'm sorry, MXCX. They are my favorite. I am the kind of person that made you stop doing side ships. Anyway. Oh god, look at that for a bit while I, yeah. Get your man, Airplane Bro. That's his man. Oh, he loves him. Oh my god, he loves him and he doesn't even know it yet. Ah! Shut up. After confirming he wouldn't fall to his death, Shen Jingzhou didn't give himself the time to sigh in relief, and quickly turned back around. Luo Binghe and Yue Qingyuan were already dueling. As expected, Luo Binghe's power was terrifying, but Shen Jingzhou hadn't expected a fully unleashed Xuansu to be so powerful, capable of even matching a berserk Luo Binghe. Shen Jingzhou felt the fluctuating spiritual energy and demonic qi reverberate as they pressed on his eardrums and throat. He could tell that this cavern would soon collapse and rushed to the stone wall. He grabbed Shinmo bare-handed and, with a forceful heave, yanked it out. Oh. Oh my god. Although he'd extracted the blade, Maigu Ridge's descent didn't slow. Luo Binghe saw the situation and moved to seize the sword. Yue Qingyuan didn't give him the chance. Using the tip of Xuansu's blade, he carved a dazzling trail visible to the naked eye. and an enormous barrier marked with complicated incantations and seals formed an invisible cage trapping Luo Bingke within. Seeing that Shen Jingzhou had already acquired Shinmo, Yue Qingyuan said sternly, "Go." How could he go in this sort of situation? Shen Jingzhou immediately shook his head and was about to toss Shinmo to Yue Qingyuan when he felt something beneath him falter. It wasn't his legs that had given out. It was the ground. The cave had finally collapsed. Scene break. Hi, Bobby. Scene break. We're on page 293. We're gonna cry some more. This is all gonna be crying. Okay. Let's continue. On Maigu Ridge's second level, Shen Jingzhou dug Yue Qingyuan out from beneath the pile of rubble. Sect leader, Xishang, Jiangmen Xishang. Yue Qingyuan's complexion was slightly pale, and blood trickled from his lips. He swallowed once as if forcing down a mouthful of warm blood. He opened his eyes and glanced at Shen Jingzhou. Where are the others? The internal structure of Maigu Ridge was now like a distorted honeycomb, with cave after cave, all connected. Shen Jingzhou gave his surroundings a once-over. I don't see Master Wu Chen or Tianlang Jun. They might be buried here, or they might have tumbled with the piles of rubble down to the other caves. He turned his head back. Xishang, when did you get injured? Yue Qingyuan didn't answer the question. Do you have Shinmo? Shen Jingzhou showed him the sword. Here, Maigu Ridge is still falling, but the merge has probably yet to finish. Xishang, take the sword, head down and destroy it. With Shen Jingzhou supporting him, Yue Qingyuan slowly stood. And you? Of course, Shen Jingzhou would head back to look for Luo Bingke, but he avoided the question. Xishang, this injury of yours isn't normal. Exactly what happened? Yue Qingyuan provided an irrelevant answer. Originally, I didn't want to, but in the end, I'm an impulsive person. Shen Jingzhou thought those words strange, but he didn't have the mind to think about them carefully and continued to walk while supporting him. Xishang, can you still walk? You head down first, destroy the sword and have Mushidi heal you. Leave Luo Bingke to me. As Shen Jingzhou was supporting him, Yue Qingyuan could stand with some difficulty, all while dripping fresh blood into the ground. Thinking he was fine, Shen Jingzhou let go, but once he did, Yue Qingyuan didn't remain standing for long before he unexpectedly collapsed again. Shen Jingzhou blanched with shock. He hurried to help him again. Jiangmen Xishang? Jiangmen Xishang! After a brief examination, even with his superficial medical knowledge, he could tell that Yue Qingyuan's current condition was horrible. Yue Qingyuan's expression was vacant, like he hadn't heard anything Shen Jingzhou had said. However, those times at Jinlan City and during Luo Bingke's siege of the mountain, I kept calm and took the big picture into account. Thinking back on it, it would have been better to be impulsive. At the sight of him so drowsy and about to fall asleep, Shen Jingzhou itched to pinch Yue Qingyuan hard on the spot above his upper lip to wake him up, but he didn't dare overstep, so he could only yell in his ear to stop him from passing out. Xishang, wake up! You weren't wrong! Yue Qingyuan closed his eyes and shook his head. He drew a breath, and another violent coughing fit befell him, causing Shen Jingzhou to jump in terror. Blood flowed out incessantly with the coughs. With difficulty, he said, Return Xuansu to its sheath for me. Shen Jingzhou hurriedly dropped down next to him. Xuansu's blade was still emitting a blinding white light. He returned the sword to its sheath, then held it out to Yue Qingyuan. At this, Yue Qingyuan's complexion finally improved somewhat, and the most arduous of his breaths eased. He stared at the hand Shen Jingzhou had used to handle Xuansu in a daze, then instead of taking it, said, If I perish here, you must bring Xuansu back to Wanjian Peak for me. Shen Jingzhou was shocked. What did you say? Perish? Yue Qingyuan's injuries were so severe that he was likely to die? Xuansu is incredibly powerful, but I never draw it against enemies. Yue Qingyuan said. You must have attempted to guess why. Shen Jingzhou nodded. Not only had he attempted, many people had. Xuansu is my life, said Yue Qingyuan. Do you understand what that means? Shen Jingzhou absolutely didn't, but he knew that it definitely wasn't a figure of speech for loving your sword more than your own life. He also knew that what Yue Qingyuan's next words would... He also knew that what Yue Qingyuan's next words would, without a doubt, be a secret that he'd never told anyone before. Sure enough, Yue Qingyuan said, Every time I draw Xuansu, it consumes my life force. As soon as these words were said, Shen Jingzhou felt like the Xuansu he held instantly became 1,000 times heavier. No wonder Xuansu left its sheath. No wonder Yue Qingyuan never drew his sword unless as a last resort. Shizhong, this was because of a qi deviation? Shen Jingzhou said, stunned. By using his life force to channel his spiritual energy, he'd bound his life to his sword. If not due to a terrible accident during cultivation in which he'd entered a qi deviation, why else would Yue Qingyuan cultivate this kind of unnatural path? Yue Qingyuan slowly said, At age 15, I entered Chongding Peak. My heart preoccupied and desperate for success, I failed in my venture to become one with the sword, falling instead into this state, a state contrary to my initial goals, which left me with untold, lifelong regrets. As he spoke, the vestige of color his coughing had brought to his face suddenly vanished without a trace. Shen Jingzhou hurried to interrupt him. Don't talk anymore. This isn't the time to speak of this. I'll take you to Mushidi first. The two of them walked several painful steps before Yue Qingyuan suddenly said, in a low voice, I'm sorry. Shen Jingzhou didn't understand why he was apologizing. Yue Qingyuan had never wronged him in any way. If anything, it was he who should be sorry, always slacking off and screwing around. He even dumped a mountain of troubles on Yue Qingyuan, forcing him to take responsibility and bear the headache of cleaning up his messes. But Yue Qingyuan's next words would shake Shen Jingzhou to his core. I'm truly sorry. Even his voice trembled. Even though I wanted to return as soon as possible, even though I wanted to come get you immediately, I made a mess of things instead. You were right. In the end, I'm an impulsive person. After that, Shizun destroyed all the tendons, bones, and meridians in my body, then shut me inside the Lingxi caves for more than a year. My entirety was broken down to be rebuilt anew. I screamed, I yelled, but it was no use. For an entire year, inside that pitch-black cave, no matter how crazed I became, how hysterical, no one listened closely to what I said. No one let me out. I pushed myself as hard as I could, but by the time I returned, Chu Manor had already been destroyed for some time. From deep within Shen Jingzhou's mind came the sound of something tearing. In an instant, all of Yue Qingyuan's past ardent concern, his wordless protectiveness, all kinds of scenes, all manner of details connected within his mind like a merry-go-round, clear beyond compare. No wonder, no matter how Shen Jingzhou dug his own grave, the sect leader never made life difficult for him and instead remained infinitely forgiving, infinitely patient. No wonder the rescuer Shen Ju had been waiting for never returned. Yue Qingyuan, Shen Jingzhou, Yue Qi, Shenju. So that's how it was. That's how it was. I really didn't mean to not return, said Yue Qingyuan. Jeez. Only, it really is true that the world is pitiless, and so the two of us passed each other by. You cannot repeat the same thing that someone else said about the cannon ship of the Tianling. Oh my god. Bro. He just confessed to him. He just fully confessed to him. He just said, I love you. I've always loved you. And we can't be. That's fine. With each line he spoke, the more violently fresh blood surged. Shen Jingzhou supported him by the arm, pausing twice as long for every step they took. Don't talk anymore, he sighed. He already knew everything that happened next. Let me finish speaking this one time, Yue Qingyuan said resolutely. As you always say, sorry is nothing but an empty word, completely useless. I also never explained myself, but today I must let you hear, not to ask for your forgiveness or sympathy, but because if I don't say it now, it will be too late. Shen Jingzhou's heart became acrid. His eyes hot. Too late. It was already too late. Shenju was no longer here. Maybe he died, or maybe like Shen Yuan, his soul had been transported into another world. But now, no matter which, he would never again be able to hear Yue Qingyuan's words. Never ever. This book is so fucking sad. The system set out a series of notifications. Hidden character, Jujilang, completion rate 100%. Hidden character 2, Tianlang Jun, completion rate 100%. Hidden character 3, Sushian, completion rate 100%. Plot hole filling target 1, Shen Jingzhou, completion rate 100%. Plot hole filling target 2, Yue Qingyuan, completion rate 100%. Met basic criteria for character completion. The system scan found no obvious logical gaps. B points per achievement plus 300. Total sums 1,500. Congratulations! By upgrading rather a lot of things to roast, you have unlocked the achievement readable if nothing else is available. Fuck off! Satisfaction points at 0. In this situation, you can substitute B points when paying for drop costs of key items. Do you accept? Oh my god. Yeah, get your tissues. Hold my hand. We're holding hands. The chime of positive notifications formed a cascade, brimming with a joyful atmosphere. Yet Shen Jingzhou had never been more depressed. He said, "What's the point?" Exactly what was the system? What was the point of its existence? So he could know exactly how unfortunate these people were? So he could personally witness the most tragic ways the world could screw people over? Or so he could drive Luo Bingke into insanity? Everyone said Luo Bingke had gone mad. Even he himself had smiled and admitted it. Jin Mo, which Luo Bingke had finally managed to suppress after a million words of struggle in the original work, had gained the upper hand in this struggle and invaded Luo Bingke's mind. This wasn't a result of one or two events, but a slow accumulation over time until finally it had completely erupted. Numerous signs had long since made themselves apparent, but Shen Jingzhou had never noticed. Or perhaps he shouldn't say that he never realized that Luo Binghe was actually so insincere. No, was so insecure to the point of having an inferiority complex. First, he thought Luo Binghe was unbelievably cruel and evil. Then he thought Luo Binghe was unspeakably strong and bright. Looking back, the symptoms of Shinmo's invasion of Luo Binghe's mind had appeared as early as Jiaohua Monastery. When Luo Binghe heard his backstory, he'd received a massive shock. In his moment of greatest panic, he reached out to Shen Jingzhou, pleading for his Shizun to leave with him. But Shen Jingzhou hadn't taken Luo Binghe's hand and instead had made Luo Binghe leave him alone first. At that time, Luo Binghe's psyche started to grow incredibly unstable. What he needed wasn't a path of safe retreat, but to be together with Shen Jingzhou, even if he was trapped in Jiaohua Monastery and unable to retreat, even if he was surrounded and attacked by everyone present. Either outcome was better than leaving alone. To a Luo Binghe in that state of mind, having to leave alone was as good as being thrown away, like he had been when Su Xian willingly drank that poison. It was exactly as Luo Binghe himself had said. He wasn't forcing Shen Jingzhou to choose between two options because he was completely certain he knew the answer, down to his very bones, that Shen Jingzhou would one day abandon him. His entire mind had flooded with terror of and anxiety from speculating over something yet to happen. How could he not go completely insane? Ye Qingyuan's steps became increasingly unsteady, to the point he almost couldn't stand anymore. Shen Jingzhou had never seen the sect leader appear so weak. Ye Qingyuan had always been stolid, and full of strength. Even if he never spoke too much or too little, even if he lacked any aggressiveness and was gentle and affable, he was also extremely dependable and dignified. Now, not only was he having difficulty walking, he even spoke more than usual. He likely really thought he wasn't going to make it. Shen Jingzhou was almost dragging him along by this point. As he walked, he said, "Jiangmeng Shishong, hold on. You absolutely can't pass out. Everything will be all right in a moment." Ye Qingyuan smiled bitterly. "All these years, you've never mentioned the past, and only ever called me Jiangmeng Shishong. Are you determined to never call me Chiga again?" It's not his Chiga. It's not his Chiga. The bones and veins in Shen Jingzhou's sword hand bulged. Ye Qingyuan wanted to hear Shen Ju call him Chiga, but he wasn't Shen Ju. He dragged up the original flavor's cold and hateful energy, then adamantly refused. "I won't." Like a potato. Don't make me laugh right now, holy shit. How could... He could not raise the flag. In dramas and novels, whenever a character achieved their final wish and finished speaking their last words, they immediately kick the bucket, their desires satisfied. "I didn't hear anything you just said," Shen Jingzhou went on harshly. "Hold on, keep going." Ye Qingyuan closed his eyes and sighed. "Xiaoju, don't call me that." In his head. He didn't dare think about how Ye Qingyuan had felt in the original work, after Luo Binghe chopped off Shen Jingzhou's legs and sent them to Sangchong Mountain Sect in a brocade box. He didn't dare imagine what kind of emotions Ye Qingyuan had held as he walked unflinchingly into Luo Binghe's trap, despite knowing there was no return until he was pierced with 10,000 arrows. To think that a lifetime single moment of loyalty actually had to be repaid with so much. And Ye Qingyuan hadn't been able to tell Shen Jingzhou the reason why he hadn't come to rescue him. The Shen Jingzhou who had been full of resentment and terror, who'd helped Luo Binghe lead him into that trap. Why hadn't he told him earlier? It was just like Shen Jingqiu and Luo Binghe. Why hadn't he told him earlier? If he hadn't been so cavalier, so full of conjecture, Luo Binghe might have never darkened. He could have remained the sweet and bashful disciple he'd been on Qingjing Peak. Even if they backed up 10,000 steps back to when he'd been forced to shove Luo Binghe into the endless abyss, Shen Jingqiu could have used a completely different method to achieve his goal. He might not even have needed to He might not even had needed to think about it. Think about it? It says think about it, but I think that's a typo. Only now did Shen Jingqiu understand that if he wanted Luo Binghe to go down into the abyss, it was very possible that if he had but said the word, Luo Binghe would have obeyed and jumped. Shen Jingqiu had never considered this possibility. He hadn't believed that a person would be so foolish, that Luo Binghe could be so obedient. But the truth was that Luo Binghe really was that foolish and obedient. Shen Jingqiu had twisted and turned, taken all sorts of detours. He'd taken the far road and become utterly lost, not knowing how to proceed. Full of regret and sorrows, he could only sigh, "If only I had known." But in this world there was no "if only I had known." As they turned past the cavern, Shen Jingqiu suddenly saw two figures caked in dirt. As soon as he made out the two round and shiny bald heads, he blurted out, "Master Wu Chen, Master Wu Hong." The short monk, who was carrying someone much taller than himself, was Master Wu Chen. One of his wooden prosthetic legs was missing. Walking alone on a single leg was already difficult, and on top of that, he had no hands to spare for a palms-together greeting. Refusing to be discourteous, he chose to recite some extra sutras instead. "Amitabha, Peak Lord Chen, we finally found you. What happened to sect leader Yue?" Ever since he'd closed his eyes, Yue Qingyuan had been drowsily leaning against Shen Jingqiu. Shen Jingqiu said, Jiangmen Shishong was struck on the head by a rock. What about Master Wu Huang?" "Injured by that Tianlang Jun's demonic qi and unconscious for now. With the cave's collapse, the demons completely disappeared." An ad is about to start in a second, and I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna take my break right now. Real quick. Oh, fuck. I snoozed like 3 times, but the ad is starting, and I'm going to take a break. Right now, I will be right back. Right back. I'm not even getting more tea. I'm gonna be right back. Okay, BRB. Okay, we're back. We're back. We're fine, right? How are we feeling? We're fine, right? Okay, cool. We're on page 303. About the middle. Yeah. Oh, thanks for this sub, Brave. Welcome in. Oh my god. Ready to cry more. Yeah, we're ready to cry more. Oh, we're gonna cry so much more. We're sad. We're so sad. Oh my god. I'm pulling my stream deck closer so I can put on the tears soon. Alright, getting back into it. Shenjingzhou pulled out Shuya and handed it over. Master, can I ask you to take my Xishang and Master Wuwang and leave my Gu Ridge by sword? What about Peak Lord Shen? Asked Wu Chen. I will deal with my own disciple, Shenjingzhou said concisely. If Peak Lord Shen is willing to calmly face him, there could be nothing better, Wu Chen said respectfully. I am ashamed of myself. Oh wait, who's saying that? Oh shit. Fucking hell. Okay. I am ashamed of myself, said Shenjingzhou, but I wish to resolve these affairs before something irreparable occurs. I leave Jiangman Xishang to Master Wu Chen. After you head down, please take him to Changsao Peak's Mushiri. This Shen is deeply grateful. Wu Chen put down Wu Wang and received Shuya with both hands. He bowed, then suddenly said, Inner demons arise due to obsession. Footnote on inner demons, Shinmo, the name of Luo Bingke's sword itself. Shenjing was startled. Is Master trying to say that to eliminate his inner demons, we must cure his obsession? But Wu Chen shook his head. If it was curable, it wouldn't be an obsession. I thought so too. Shenjingzhou returned the bow, then spun around. Who'd made him the object of Luo Bingke's obsession? You did. You did. That was all you, baby. That was all you. That's a scene break. I was trying to get to this scene break before the ad break, but I just barely missed it. All right. I think before we start this next part... Wait, you still have ads? What the fuck? Before we start this next part... I would... Oh, okay. I would like to, there are some trigger warnings, I suppose. Dubious consent, it's a kind of fuck or die situation. Angst. Yeah, that's about it, honestly. I mean, what would you expect with this? But yeah, it's gonna get a little explicit. Not too much, don't worry about it. I think we're fine on here. We're on page 304. Let's do this. 12? 12 what? 12 what? Ugh. The interior of my Gu Ridge had collapsed into a complete mess. Before there had been hundreds upon Apple, do you need to be timed out right now? Holy shit. It just clicked. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, don't worry about it. Everybody, don't worry about it and don't look into it. Don't worry about it. Continuing. The interior of my Gu Ridge had collapsed into a complete mess. Before, there had been hundreds upon thousands of caves, sprawling and interconnected, but now half of them had crumbled with the tremors. The fallen rocks formed barricades everywhere. Shenjingzhou wove through the remains, struggling to navigate the ruins. Suddenly, from within a giant pile of rubble, there came a feeble wisp of demonic energy. Shen Jingzhou called without thinking, "Lord Binke!" It couldn't be that Lord Binke was trapped here, having been sealed by Yue Qingyuan's binding technique, could it? He leapt over to the pile and lifted the topmost stone slab. Underneath was a stretch of battered green scales. Small, loose pebbles tumbled off them as they rose and fell weakly. Jujilang's snake form was coiled in a small fortress, and Tianlanjun lay in the middle, sheltered within the watertight hold. The latter's body had deteriorated even further, to the point it seemed his head would fall off at any moment. He opened his eyes and looked at Shen Jingzhou, then even had the cheer to greet him. "Peak Lord Shen. How is the situation with you two?" said Shen Jingzhou. "I'm long since used to this, but Jujilang isn't doing too well. Not doing well indeed." Those two huge yellow eyes, once always as bright as lanterns, had begun glazing over, though there was still life in them. Quite a few of his snake scales had been scraped off, leaving stretches of red and black wounds that patterned his entire body. Shen Jingzhou helped remove the stones crushing the snake's tail, then realized that Zheng Yang was still stabbed into Jujilang's body. He reached to grab the hilt, then yanked the sword out. Blood loss meant very little to demons. Rather, having Zheng Yang and his powerful spiritual energy stabbed into him would have done far more harm. Hasn't Peak Lord Shen always preferred to ignore him?" asked Tianlangjun. "Who says I've always ignored him?" said Shen Jingzhou. "It's just that sometimes communicating with him is difficult. How is he?" Tianlangjun stroked the snail's triangular head with the stump of his arm and didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "What will Peak Lord Shen do about the situation after this?" "Destroy the sword, of course. Jinmo's invasion has already reached Lo Binka's soul, binding their lives together. If you destroyed the sword now, won't that be the same as killing him?" "Then I'll think up another method," Shen Jingzhou said resolutely. Even if you're unable to stop the merge in time." Shen Jingzhou drew in a breath. "If I can't make it, then that's that," he said irritably. "We should do everything we can first, then worry about the rest later." At that, another smile finally appeared on Tianlangjun's face. He sighed and lamented, "As expected, I can't bring myself to hate humans." Oh. Shen Jingzhou didn't know how to respond to this line of his. It was joyful, yet seemed far too heavy. "What about Lo Binke?" he asked to change the topic. "Have you seen him?" "I thought Peak Lord Shen knew," Tianlangjun said, bemused. "Hasn't he been behind you this whole time?" Shen Jingzhou's hair stood on end, and he slowly turned his head. Sure enough, Lo Binka stood behind him, eyes fixed unswervingly on his back. Exactly when had he begun standing there? Or perhaps the question was, exactly when had he begun following Shen Jingzhou? Lo Binka smiled. "Shizun, give me the sword." Shen Jingzhou maintained his composure and raised Shin Mo. "You can come take it yourself." Lo Binka took a step toward him, then suddenly stopped. The corner of his mouth twitched, and his shoulders began to shake. Shen Jingzhou held the sword horizontally in front of him. "What's wrong?" Lo Binka gritted his teeth. "Get lost!" Shen Jingzhou hadn't managed to respond when Lo Binka pressed a hand to his temple, then lashed out with a spiritual blast. "Get lost! All of you! Don't touch him! Get lost!" Those words weren't meant for Shen Jingzhou, and the spiritual blast didn't strike him either. Instead, it grazed his shoulder, blasting apart the already pitted cave wall behind him. Tianlangjun offered a friendly reminder. "Shinmo conjures illusions." Even without him saying so, Shen Jingzhou had about guessed as much. At present, Lobinka clearly saw things no one else could. From his hand came haphazard blasts of spiritual energy and demonic chi, and he specifically attacked the space around Shen Jingzhou, engaged in brutal combat with a non-existent enemy. The mountain began to shake again, clusters of rocks rolling down. Shen Jingzhou looked at the two people by them, who could be fairly described as the sick and elderly. "Binka," he yelled. "Come here." Though Lobinka looked somewhat dazed, he was still very obedient. Oh, sure enough, he began to follow Shen Jingzhou. "Oh, little lamb!" There's still a little lamb in him. The one in front dashed with the wind beneath his heels, while the one in back seemed to drift like a wraith, though he somehow didn't fall behind in the slightest. In the middle of the chase, the system sent a notification. Lobinka's base anger points, 300, multiplied by Shinmo's coefficient of 10, the current value is 3,000. "Where's the key item?" Shen Jingzhou roared. "Hurry the fuck up! The Jade Guanyin! The Jade Pendant! Give it here, quickly!" "Greetings. The key item is currently loading in." Fucking bitch. "We recommend deploying another tool in the interim." "Loading? What the what other tools are there? Show me." Gentle reminder, the small scenario pusher, luxury edition that you recently upgraded has yet to be used. Shen Jingzhou abruptly braked. In all honesty, to this day, he still hadn't figured out exactly what kind of doodad this small scenario pusher was, let alone how it worked. But based on his single experience with it before, it really did seem to be quite efficient. Shen Jingzhou gritted his teeth. "Give it here." What the fuck? Let this great one see just how epic and thrilling this luxury edition is. Bring it on. He just forcefully slammed the confirm button when the ground beneath his feet collapsed again. As he fell, Shen Jingzhou had only one thought. "Fuck me, you call that a small scenario pusher? It's a large scenario bulldozer." However, even after a long downward tumble, while rocky shadows rolled toward him from overhead, none of the rocks from the landslide smashed into him. Someone was shielding him from above. Lobinka was completely out of his mind, his senses muddled, but even at a time like this, he used his own body to block the rocks for Shen Jingzhou. With a backhanded shove, he flung the boulders that had struck his back aside like they weighed nothing. He stared blankly down into Shen Jingzhou's eyes, and for a brief second, clarity seemed to flash through his pupils. But after a dazed blink, the murk returned. The dark red mark of sin crept over his forehead, expanding outward until marks covered the entirety of his snow-paled face, then continued spreading down his neck. Shinmo had fallen beside him, and it seemed to respond to the marks on Lobinka's body. It glowed and dimmed, its purple light and black miasma circulating endlessly. "Shizun," Lobinka mumbled. Said Shen Jingzhou. Blood trickled down Lobinka's forehead, and his voice seemed to quaver slightly. "Shizun, is it really you?" "It's real this time?" asked Lobinka. "Didn't you leave with the others just now? I saw you go." "I won't leave," said Shen Jingzhou. Lobinka slowly lowered his body and pressed his face into the gap of Shen Jingzhou's collar. "Shizun, it hurts," he said in a tiny voice. "My head hurts." The tone sounded both like he was acting cute and like it really did hurt. Very much so. Shen Jingzhou slowly reached out with both arms, wrapping them around Lobinka's shoulders. Then he gently patted Lobinka while soothing him like one would a child. "Good boy. It'll stop hurting soon. If I'm good, it'll stop hurting, and Shizun won't leave me alone ever again," said Lobinka. "It'll stop hurting in a minute." "I don't believe you," Lobinka said quietly. Suddenly, he exploded and yelled, "I don't believe you! I don't!" Seeing that he was having another episode, Shen Jingzhou grabbed his shoulders and abruptly lifted himself up, head raised. The angle wasn't right. Teeth clacked against teeth, making pain radiate through him. Luo Bingke's lips were sealed, but his eyes continued to stare forward blankly. He blinked once, then twice. Shen Jingzhou's eyes were also open. As their wide-eyed gazes remained fixed on each other, Shen Jingzhou internally thought this extremely unsettling. After a while of just staring at each other, eyes completely unclosed, he finally gave in and shut his eyes first. With a flutter of his lashes, he pressed forward and deepened the kiss. His teeth and mouth were still ringing and numb from the collision. In truth, this act couldn't be called kissing at all, but gnawing. However, Luo Bingke was clearly very pleased with said gnawing. He bit all over Shen Jingzhou's lips like they were pieces of candy, his breaths growing shorter and shorter. Suddenly, he pressed Shen Jingzhou down against the ground. With a ripping noise, Shen Jingzhou's outer robe was torn to pieces. Shen Jingzhou moved to strip his remaining clothes himself. He pulled and tugged, sliding his pants down below his knees, stripping his torso until only a loose inner robe remained, which slipped down to reveal one pale shoulder. Luo Bingke's hand ran along the collar and dipped inside. His entire body was searing hot, even more so than the time in the Holy Mausoleum, and his hand kneaded hard over Shen Jingzhou's skin. Hot, in pain, and panicking. Shen Jingzhou knew what would follow. He'd long since made up his mind. Now he consciously flipped himself over so that his back was to Luo Bingke. Though he had no experience with this kind of thing, he'd heard before that for the first time it was easier from the back. Even though deep down he thought this position a little humiliating, he couldn't care about that much now. He'd done this out of consideration for Luo Bingke's convenience, but unexpectedly he was flipped back around. Luo Bingke jammed himself between Shen Jingzhou's legs, his entire attention wrapped on Shen Jingzhou's face. Only a few inches remained between them, their steaming breaths intermingling. Something blazing hot pressed against the dry entrance of Shen Jingzhou's lower half. Its circumference a little terrifying, not unlike that of a full-sized ball. Due to the slight moisture at its tip, the tight entrance managed to take it in just a little. Luo Bingke didn't slam himself in right away. He was in a daze, but he still insisted on staring at Shen Jingzhou's face while he pressed tiny, scattered kisses to his cheek, little by little. Originally, Shen Jingzhou's nerves had been stretched taut, but with these subconscious actions on Luo Bingke's part, he relaxed a bit. He relaxed too early. Shen Jingzhou finally experienced what it felt like to be split in half down the middle while still alive. Out of his mind with pain, he kicked his legs out and jerked away. Luo Bingke clamped down on his waist and dragged him back. Shen Jingzhou's back scraped over rough rocks, his flesh burning and stinging. Fuck you up. His flesh burning and stinging. The sudden eruption of agony wiped Shen Jingzhou's mind clean. Like a fish suspended out of water, he began to struggle violently, but the more he struggled, the less stable Luo Bingke's mental state became. His eyes were crimson, his breaths disordered, his mind in chaos. All he could think about was holding on to Shen Jingzhou and thrusting himself into the hilt. The thickest part had already entered. Though, together with the long shaft, oh my god, I'm reading this, okay. Together with the long shaft, it pressed in toward his insides. Shen Jingzhou braced his hands against Luo Bingke's chest, but the iron grasp on his waist left him unable to move. His legs were pressed back against his chest, his backside raised high, so he was powerless to stop his insides from being forced open. He swallowed down his screams, doing his best to relax and open himself more, let Luo Bingke slide himself into his depths. Once everything was inside, Shen Jingzhou felt like he'd been impaled by a rod of hot iron, nailed alive to a sacrificial stone. Luo Binghe seemed to have finally found some small sense of security. He grasped Shen Jingzhou's hair, lifting and kissing it. Though he could ignore the sting of his scalp, the shift in position gave Shen Jingzhou the terrifying, if mistaken, impression that his insides were being jostled. His entrance spasmed uncontrollably from the pain. In his stupor, Luo Binghe knew no restraint. He only understood his own exhilaration and began to ruthlessly thrust in and out. His movements were both quick and rough. After over 100 uneven thrusts that alternated between fast and slow, he finally managed to smoothly and continuously bury himself inside. Shen Jingzhou's eyes flooded with hot tears. It hurt. It hurt so much. He was trembling from the pain, but he didn't forget what he should do next. He sent forth his spiritual energy, drawing the surging demonic qi within Luo Binghe's body into himself. This technique was incredibly stupid, but it was also incredibly effective. As Luo Binghe was supplying Shinmo with demonic qi, by drawing a portion into himself, it no longer received enough power, so Maigu Ridge's descent naturally couldn't continue. Shen Jingzhou took that object as it viciously slammed in and out, his hull twitching. Nothing had ever breached this place before, and the tender flesh of his walls was rubbed raw and swollen. Initially, the thrust had been slightly jerky, but with the spates of burning pain, blood and fluids gradually providing enough lubrication to smooth out their joining. Within the darkness, the wafting stench of blood pervaded around them. Pained, suppressed gasps, and the sound of flesh slapping on flesh rang especially clear. Luo Binghe was enthusiastic, clutching at Shen Jingzhou and refusing to let go. His cheeks rubbed against Shen Jingzhou's head, the action both docile and meek, but his bottom half told an entirely different story and could have been called savage. Shen Jingzhou could barely breathe within his grip, and his right hand clawed at the rocky ground, leaving behind trails of blood. Each breath he struggled to draw stuttered and caught as he gasped down air. He couldn't hold on. He really couldn't hold on anymore. Just as his head swam, his vision growing darker and darker, a faint beam of light flashed by him. There was a crisp clang of something hitting the ground, right next to Shen Jingzhou's bare shoulder. Alarmed, Luo Binghe looked up, and for a brief moment, he seemed disoriented. Then his pupils abruptly shrank into pinpoints. The blurry scene before him gradually focused and came together, becoming clearer and clearer. He slowly lowered his head, and all the color drained from his face on the spot. Shen Jingzhou lay below him, robes torn into countless pieces. His legs were trembling, unable to close, his eyes frightfully red, like he was on his last breath. Luo Binghe reached out, wanting to touch him, but also not daring to. His hand remained frozen in midair, and as he muttered, "Shizun?" Once he heard Luo Binghe finally call him Shizun, as normal. Shen Jingzhou seemed to come alive, and he gasped in a breath. Unfortunately, due to how strained his breath was, it almost sounded like a sob. Luo Binghe was stunned. "Shizun, what did I do?" Shen Jingzhou wanted to clear his throat, to lighten the mood a little, and say something like, "You didn't do much, just your Shizun." However, the result was that he didn't manage to clear his throat, and rather cough up a mouthful of blood. Classic Shen Jingzhou. Both of them froze in shock at the sight. Shen Jingzhou's tears hadn't had the chance to come out before Luo Binghe began falling first. They plopped into Luo Binghe's began falling first. They plopped onto Shen Jingzhou's cheek, sliding down the curve of it. In the past, Shen Jingzhou's greatest fear had been women crying, and now his greatest fear was Luo Binghe crying. He ignored the pain in his bottom half and wiped at Luo Binghe's face, comforting him like he was soothing a child. "Don't cry. Luo Binghe's tears fell like pearls cut from their string, rolling down along his shoulder. He helplessly held Shen Jingzhou with one arm while muttering, "Shizun, don't hate me. I don't know. I never wanted to hurt you. Why didn't you push me away? Why didn't you kill me?" Shen Jingzhou stroked his back gently again and again. This master knows. This master was willing. He soothed him, but within his heart was endless bleakness. He was the one who'd been wrecked all right, but how come this guy who'd wrecked him was crying harder than he was? What was this reversal where the guy who got fucked had to comfort the one who'd fucked him? A Lobinka who'd lost his virginity was even more demanding than a young maiden who lost hers. God, Shenjingjo. Then, if you pull out first, Shenjingjo said helplessly. Lobinka's eyelashes still hung heavy with tears, but he couldn't afford to worry about his shyness or how he wasn't done crying, and he pulled out with utmost care. He stared blankly at the horrible sight between Shenjingjo's legs, his face growing increasingly pale. Even so, he carefully tidied Shenjingjo's inner robe, then draped his own outer robe on top of him. Shenjingjo didn't dare look down at himself. He slowly closed his legs, the muscles of his face twitching like as he did so. Still, he did his best to school his expression into something less pained. To divert Lobinka's gaze and attention, Shenjingjo reached out and picked up the jade guanyin beside him, then gestured at Lobinka to lower his head. Lobinka stammered. I thought I had long since lost it. I thought I'd never find it again. Shenjingjo helped to loop the red string around his neck. Hold on to it from now on. Don't lose it again. After Shizun rescued me that time, could it be that he's kept it with him ever since? Lobinka mumbled. It had been in the system storage. It had been in the system storage system the entire time, so saying that he had couldn't be considered wrong, right? Once he thought this, Shenjingjo feebly nodded once. Lobinka's arm around him slowly tightened as his tears continued to flow. He suddenly noticed that the marks on his arm were rapidly receding. His blazing hot forehead and cheeks were also cooling at an incredible speed. Stunned, he said, "What are you doing?" Guys, we have another illustration. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Why are they not organized? Nope. There they are. Look how sweet. Oh. Shenjingjo, you are so strong. In the face of this, oh man. Honestly, this is some of the most upsetting fucker die I've ever read. Yeah, me too. You know, when you search up the tag, it usually doesn't come with like angst or dead dove. Okay. Continuing, we're on top of 317. Shenjingjo hugged him firmly, forcefully locking Lobinka against the crook of his arm so he couldn't flail around. I'm not doing anything, he said lowly. Like I told you, it'll stop hurting soon. So be good and don't move. Fucking hell. Lobinka's voice cracked. Shizun, are you going to do what you did last time and use your body to draw away Shinmo's demonic chi? The last time he referred to was the time when Shenjingjo had self-detonated. It must have left an enormous impact on him. It's different this time, said Shenjingjo. Lobinka slowly clenched his fist. Different how? He asked, voice quavering. Shizun, how can you do this to me? To think you would actually do the same thing a second time, for the sake of other people. Do you feel that I can watch you do this sort of thing right before me again? I should have realized long ago that none of you would ever choose me. Every single one of you would rather throw me away. Listen to me, Lobinka, Shen Jingzhou said severely. Sure enough, Lobinka held back his tears and obediently listened. Listen, baby. Yeah, this is a pretty bad situation for both of them. In order to give birth to you, Su Xian fought to the death. Lobinka, oh Lobinka, why did you never consider it? Given the kind of person the old palace master was, would he have given his disciple a gentle, harmless drug? It must have been a drug that was absolutely fatal to demons. If she really had given in and obediently taken it, even if you hadn't died, how could you have peacefully grown up, unharmed into who you are today? Lobinka's shoulders trembled. He has autism. Oh no, he's autistic. Sorry. Shen Jingzhou made sure to emphasize every word. I'm autistic. Okay. if you weren't aware. Shen Jingzhou made sure to emphasize every word. If I were her, no matter how venomous that drug was, I would have drunk it down without hesitation, then escaped the water prison. Afterward, I would draw all its effects into my own body. No matter how agonizing the process, no matter if the price would be the complete destruction of my martial aspect, no matter if it meant a horrible death, I absolutely would not allow my child to suffer even an ounce of harm. This is my conclusion. You can think that it's only a theory, because there's no longer anyone who can tell you what Su Xian was thinking before she breathed her last. But if she really had seen you as her shame, she wouldn't have needed to do a thing. What? No, she wouldn't have needed to do a thing. Those were the coldest days of the year, with ice and snow everywhere. If she'd thrown you into the Luo River, could you have survived? Or she could have kept her bright and boundless future, as the head disciple of Huan Yue. Oh my God, I can read. As the head disciple of Huanhua Palace, and continued to drink any fresh poison the old palace master gave her. Then she wouldn't have needed to flee the prison in disgrace or hide from the Huanhua Palace disciples who searched for her. Moreover, if, after giving birth to you on that lone ship, she hadn't taken off her outer robe and swaddled you in it, if she hadn't used the last of her strength to place you in that basin and push you out and away, you would have never lasted long enough for someone to rescue you. You would have become a mere lone spirit, frozen to death upon the Luo River. You're alive, right here and now. So how can you just listen to and believe what others say when they claim that your mother was cold and heartless, that she didn't truly want you? He's so weird. Oh God. Having said all this in one go, Shen Jingzhou was now short of breath, and there was the sensation of demonic qi rampaging through his limbs and bones. He used his remaining strength to clutch Lobinka's wrist. I'm not drawing away Shinmon's evil energy for anyone else, or anything else. I do it for you, and only you, he said. I don't want to see a Lobinka who spends the rest of his life controlled by Shinmo, whose mind is lost to its corrosion, with illusions haunting him for all eternity. This master's expectations for you are to be alive and clear-minded, strong and healthy. Then he said softly, so don't say that no one wants you, or that no one will choose you, ever again. As Lobinka knelt by Shen Jingzhou's side, his eyes could finally bear the weight of his tears no longer. Me too. And they rolled down his face, like he was a child who'd been wronged. He had only ever been a child, walking the world alone, tripping and stumbling countless times, wanting only those few things, yet never able to grasp them. If only Shen Jingzhou had realized this earlier, he thought. He had definitely. But like he said before, within this world, there had never been such a thing as if only I had known. Luo Binghe suddenly broke out into a tearful smile. He grabbed Shen Jingzhou's hand with his own and held it to his cheek. Then, with the other hand, picked Shinmo up from the ground. The blade, still circulating with purple light, let out a terrifying shriek. Next to Shen Jingzhou, there came the sound of something tearing inch by inch. Chizun, I know why you say all these things. Luo Binghe stared unswervingly at Shen Jingzhou, the corner of his mouth tugging up a little. However, if Shizun is no longer here, if the only person in this world who holds these expectations for me no longer exists, then me being alive and clear-minded, healthy and strong, what meaning would any of that have? Luo Binghe's fever seemed to have infected him too. Shen Jingzhou was feeling a little dizzy. In his daze, he almost couldn't hear what Luo Binghe was saying anymore, and he was unable to stop Luo Binghe as he destroyed the sword. Dimly, he had the thought that this was fine. Dying together also included a together. It didn't seem that bad. But then came a voice that he could still hear clearly. Congratulations! By hitting target values in all categories, the honored customer has been upgraded to the beginner level VIP account. Would you like to activate the high level ability self-saving? The one W that this fuck-ass system has. Oh my god. That's a scene break. We are on page 220 out of 200. I don't want to say 320 out of 340. Do you think I can finish the last 20 pages? I think I have to. I think we really have to. This is gonna be a long stream. I am feeling okay. My neck's okay. My throat's okay. I mean, I'm speaking nasally because I've been crying, but other than that, I'm okay. We got this. Oh god. All right. Last stretch. Here we go. Proud Immortal Demon Wei was a male power fantasy of a stallion novel. Since the very beginning, the author, Great Master Airplane Shooting Towards the Sky, had been very certain when it came to this matter. Furthermore, Shen Jingzhou was an unabashed straight man, one whose straightness the heavens themselves could attest to. Since his birth, he had also been very certain when it came to this matter. So, if back when he'd just opened this baffling book, this Proud Immortal Demon Wei, which was so full of landmines that it was practically high art, to the point that those landmines had become its very style. If back then someone had said to Shen Yuan, "Oh, you'll go gay, plus you'll be going gay with the novel's male lead. And on top of that, you'll even lie down and surrender yourself to him," he would definitely have grabbed the brick that was the entire 50-volume set and shoved them and showed them what their brains looked like when splattered across the ground. Extra out. Of course. Ah! I got it. Okay. Now he drifted within the virtual space he'd passed through back when he first entered this world, and he was listening to the system's friendly Google Translate-like voice. Oof, the same as it had always been, echo in every corner. Greetings. Through your tireless efforts and active cooperation, all point values have met their upgrade targets. The system is very pleased to inform you that this honored customer has already been upgraded to the beginner level VIP account. At this time, we will specially remind you that VIP accounts may activate the high-level ability Self-Saving. In the event that your HP falls below the lowest possible value, you have a one-time opportunity to restore your life bar to full. Restore his life bar to full. About that, said Shenjing Cho, this self-saving ability can only be used once and only on myself. Your understanding is correct. An incredibly serious problem instantly occurred to Shenjing Cho. He'd already drawn the majority of Lo Binghe's demonic chi into himself, so even if Shin Mo was destroyed, it wouldn't affect Lo Binghe. However, because they both thought he was probably done for, that child had sobbed about wanting to die with him as well. If Shenjing Cho used this self-saving ability, Lo Binghe had better not go and foolishly kill himself to be with him. Not a Romeo and Juliet moment. What about Lo Binghe? Shenjing Cho asked urgently. How is he now? With your present access, you are not permitted to inquire about issues related to the central power source. Would you like to see your achievement history? Why couldn't he inquire if he was already a VIP member? Shenjing Cho was out of his mind with worry, but if he couldn't, he couldn't. And if the system wouldn't let him, it wouldn't let him. No matter how anxious he was, it was useless. The system persisted relentlessly. Would you like to see your achievement history? Oh god, I'm gonna do so much of this voice in a second. I hate doing the system voice. Let's be real, Mr. Cucumber. All the other Zhongdian commenters would not be surprised at all to hear you. They would not be surprised. So basically, he had no choice but to look at this thing. Shenjing waved his hand. I'll look. Hurry up and show me. Accompanied by a burst of joyful, bubbly background music, the system unrolled a list of achievements. Avoided more than 20 landmines, the laden with landmines tag was removed. Unlocked with the achievement, rather a lot of things to roast. High B point balance exceeded 5,000. Unlocked the achievement. Read if nothing else is available. Encountered more than 3 explosions of third-rate melodrama. Unlocked the achievement. Mired in melodrama. Cut away extra padding and irrelevant side plots. The Peerless God of Filter tag was removed. A filler, my bad. Patched in all hidden characters and filled in all basic plot holes. The holes everywhere tag was removed. Total satisfaction points surpassed countable limits. Unlock the achievement. I totally forgot about this. Unlock the achievement, good enough for a jerk-off. You have achieved the system's recommended standards. A one-line summary. The story of a lovesick, love-deficient Chunibyo who tried to destroy the world. When Shenjing Cho read this line, he could only stare in silence. What kind of rebuttal could he even make to that? Goodbye. Thinking about it more closely, ever since he entered this book, Primordial Demon Way really had been transfigured from a male fantasy stallion novel with no bottom line to a convoluted, hyper-melodramatic love story full of ups and downs, starring a pure-hearted nut job of a male virgin. Looking at this column of sparkling awards, Shenjing Cho suddenly realized that in the top left corner of the list was a small pink symbol of the symbol it's the symbol. He knew that the symbol male symbol meant men, while female symbol meant woman. And he thought this a bit strange. What does the symbol refer to? It indicates that all the achievements on this list are woman-oriented honors. You've got to be kidding me. Proud Immortal Demon Way's genre has already been revised. Wait, why had it been categorized as women's fan fiction? Not fan fiction, as women's fiction, sorry. So that was why this bizarre melodramatic storyline had still managed to acquire so many awards, because it already been categorized as women-oriented, and so it had been scored according to the standards of women's fiction? And why did women's fiction have the achievement good enough for a jerk-off? Shit, you little fuck-ass bitch. What were they jerking off? Oh my god, this man you're talking about the protagonist being a virgin, a lonely, sad virgin? Speak for yourself, my guy. Holy shit. Thank you. I'm a feminist. Oh, he's so fucking stupid. I hate him. Could it be that the story had been moved from Zhongdian literature's main site to the women's section? Or even more terrifying, after changing sites entirely, had it been tossed to the infamous Green Sea of Xinjiang? At this moment, upon realizing the truth, a giant mouthful of blood, which Shen Qingzhou had been keeping down since his first day of transmigration, which he'd managed to suppress for many years, finally sprayed out like a fountain. With this, a crowd of dark faces zeroed in around him, robes rustling. Ning Ying Ying, Ming Fan, Qi Qingqi, Mu Qingfang, an entire gaggle of people squeezed right up to him, all talking at once and saying things like, "Oh no, Shizun coughed up blood. Will Shizun die?" And, "No, once he's coughed it up, he'll be fine." Cold, damp walls surrounded them via the two small candles. Shen Qingzhou just managed to recognize the location as the Lingxi Caves when the bouncing echoes made his head to spasm with pain. He couldn't hear anything clearly and hunched over, clutching his head. Then came Lu Qingge's voice. "Go away, all of you." As soon as he spoke, everyone else immediately shut up. The junior generation stuck out their tongues and retracted unhappily. The space they left behind was taken up by Lu Qingge. He stood next to the stone bed, arms crossed. Having finally seen someone reliable... sorry, I'm moving in my chair. Oh wait, why is this still up? Sorry, I forgot that it was still up. After finally, where was I? After finally, I lost my place completely. After finally seeing someone so reliable, Shen Qingzhou grabbed him. "Where's Lo Bingke?" Lu Qingge's face went dark. "He's dead." Dead? Has he really gone and foolishly committed a lover's suicide? Lu Qingge didn't seem to be telling a joke, and neither had he ever really joked around. Shen Qingzhou abruptly sat up, but his movements were simply too fast, and a dull pain suddenly radiated from his bottom half. His face twisted immediately, then with a thump he fell back down. This reaction of his was too over the top. Lu Qingge seemed to have received a massive shock, and he stumbled back 3 steps. Then he turned about awkwardly, as if he wanted to walk back up and say something, but also like he wanted to just up and flee. Qi Qingqi grabbed him. "Look what you've done!" she shrieked. "Look! What did you do that for? We told you not to scare him, and now you've gone and scared him so much he fainted." While lying on the stone bed, Shen Qingzhou raised his hand. "I didn't faint. It was just that a certain place hurt, so he slipped." In the past, little had scared Ning Ying more than the Bai Jian Peak Lord, but this time she bravely snapped at Lu Qingge, stomping her feet. Lu Shishu, how could you do that? Even if you don't like Alo, you know Shizun has just woken up and can't take too much excitement. And you still said something so irresponsible, cursing him by claiming he's dead. Mu Qingfang's face was also full of reproach. Lu Shishong, you really shouldn't act like that towards a patient. It's not good at all. Sorry, I just love Lu Qingga. I love him so much. He's so awkward. He's such a fucking loser. I love him so much. Oh, man. This was Lu Qingga's first mass scolding. He'd never been good with words, so he simply retreated to the table and burst out with an, "I'm not talking anymore." He's so cute. Oh, I love him. Shen Qingzhou pressed one hand to his temple and the other on his waist. Someone tell me already, is he dead or not? He's not, Qi Qingqi said. That brat thought you were done for and almost tried to follow you, but right before, Mushidi said you were fine and still breathing. How could he bear to die then? Thank God they hadn't passed each other by in another twist of fate. No one could take another one of those unfortunate coincidences. Lu Qingga, if Biko was dead, you'd quote me, right? Stupid. Shen Qingzhou knew that Lu Qingga had just been venting his anger, but he really had been scared stiff for a few seconds. Peak Lord Lu, could you not? He criticized him, feeling like he'd lost some face. I asked you first because I trust you. You really disappointed me. Lu Qingga glared at him. Shen Qingzhou wasn't afraid of him glaring. He slowly sat back up and picked a position that wouldn't put too much painful pressure on the key body part in question. What happened exactly? How did I return to Qingjing Peak? What happened to Maigu Ridge? Where's Lo Binghe? Don't worry about Maigu Ridge, said Qi Qingqi. It exploded some time ago. Exploded? Shen Qingzhou echoed. Didn't you and Lo Binghe destroy... Oh, okay. Didn't you and Lo Binghe destroy Jinmo within Maigu Ridge? Qi Qingqi asked. When the sword broke, the entire mountain exploded. Ming Fan popped his head in at his bedside. That's right, Shizun. Half the mountain smashed into the ice and left a huge hole. Afterward, the Luo River thawed. You and Lo Binghe both fell into it. It was Lu Shishu who fished the two of you out. Shen Qingzhou was in the process of taking the tea Ning Ying had offered and getting ready to drink it. Good thing he hadn't, because otherwise he definitely had spewed it everywhere. The two of us? Shen Qingzhou guiltily glanced at Lu Qingga out of the corner of his eye. If he hadn't remembered wrong, and how could you misremember something like that? He and Lo Binghe had just finished doing that. Finished doing that thing, rather. Though Lo Binghe had put his robe on Shen Qingzhou after the proof of guilt would have remained on his... Though Lo Binghe had put his robe on Shen Qingzhou after, the proof of guilt would have remained on his body, and with Lu Qingga's razor-sharp vision, it'd have been stranger if he hadn't seen anything wrong. No wonder Lu Qingga had been looking at him with such a severe expression the entire time, like he was raring for some disciplinary action. Shen Qingzhou had offended public decency and brought shame to their sect. He fished up the two of you in one go, Qi Qingqi prattled on. You were clutching each other like stiff corpse and impossible to separate. So many people were watching. Aren't you ashamed, our respected Sanchong Mountain? So they'd been in plain view of everyone. That was really... Shen Qingzhou was filled with 10,000 regrets. Even after all his efforts, he still hadn't been able to stop the regret of Chunshan from acquiring new material. but to think that Lobinka, with his thought process, hadn't simply gone and absconded with him. He'd even docilely sent him back to Qingjing Peak. This was really profoundly strange. Thinking this too unusual, Shen Jingqiu persisted in his questions. Then where exactly is Lobinka now? In the end, it was still Ning Ying, who was the most obedient and filial. Shizun, you slept for so many days without waking up. Of course he went to look for spiritual herbs for you. For spirit herbs for you. Cute. Cute. Okay. Look for what spirit herbs? Sorry. By some great stroke of luck, Shen Jingqiu had escaped certain death and come back with a full life bar, and that brat hadn't knelt by his bed waiting for him to wake, but left to run about? This is some sort of trivial matter that should be foisted off on your lackeys. Foisted? What the fuck does foisted mean? Ning Ying then muttered quietly, "No, stop it with the ads." Oh my god. You know what? I actually have to pee real quick. Delegate, yeah, I gather from context clues, but like I've never heard that word before. I want to know like the is that like just a silly word to use for it? Like it's like a less serious, like a you know? It sounds silly. It sounds kind of silly. Okay, I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. While these ads are going, if they would actually start. But I will be right back. Okay. I'm back. That's not the one. That's not the one. Don't look at that too much. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. How you doing? How are we doing? We're almost at the end. We're almost at the end. We have like 10 pages left. We have another book, but it's just extras. It might be, I'm just reading your message now. It might be regional, but it's kind of a connotation of like pushing a task you don't want. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. It's my favorite book. It's my favorite book. I'm getting the box set. I'm getting the hardcover box set. I've already pre-ordered it. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I love it. 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 And then I can give these to my sister to make her read them. Yeah. 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 Okay. Anyway, we're on page... Where the fuck were we? Okay. 328. Ning Ying Ying then muttered quietly, "Wasn't it because all the Shishu and Shibo chased him off the mountain?" Shen Jingzhou didn't even bother pretending to be cold and aloof. Unable to keep his face still, he let out a stifled laugh. Luo Bingke had offended far too many Sangchong Mountain sect members, so it made sense that they had run him off. But now Luo Bingke actually understood to swallow his anger and words, and let himself be chased away. It was honestly pretty pitiful. However, as long as nothing was wrong, that was good. Like hell nothing was wrong. Shen Jingzhou's face paled with horror. Jiangmen Shishong! How could he have forgotten? There was still the matter of Yue Qingyuan, who'd been at death's door. He rushed to flip himself back upright, then stuffed his feet in his shoes and ran outside. The others hadn't expected him to suddenly jump out of bed. They were all stunned for a moment, but then they ran after him. Wu Qingfang called, "Shen Shishong, you should really lie back down." In a single breath, he ran out of the Lingxi caves, the crisp, damp fragrance from the mountains suffusing his nose. Suddenly, a glittering bloom of golden fireworks exploded at the far edge of the pitch-black night sky. When he listened carefully, he heard the clamor of voices drifting over from Chongding Peak. "What's going on?" Shen Jingzhou asked as he put his shoes on properly. "Why is there so much noise coming from Chongding Peak? Where's Jiangmen Qishong?" Qi Jingqi stretched her crooked bodice and said peevishly, "So you did remember to ask after Jiangmen Qishong a little. He's alive." Wu Qingfang smiled. "Shen Qishong, you woke up at the perfect time. You won't miss the celebration." Upon hearing that Yue Qingyuan was safe and sound, Shen Jingzhou breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed like Yue Qingyuan, drawing his sword in a fight on Maigu Ridge, hadn't consumed his entire life force. If it had, Shen Jingzhou really wouldn't have known how to live with himself, and he couldn't say if anyone else knew Xuansu's secret. His musings then took a turn, and being incredibly big-headed, he thought, what celebration? Could it be to celebrate him waking up? There was no need to go to such efforts and make it this grand. Now he was embarrassed. Lu Qingge seemed to have guessed Shen Jingzhou's thoughts, and he verbally slapped his face without hesitation. "It's to celebrate the successful prevention of the merge. Nothing to do with you." "Can't you just celebrate a bit for me on the side?" Shen Jingzhou asked sheepishly. I love them. I love them. People. He's so silly. Since it was the kind of grand celebration held for a major event, where the entire world joined in on the jubilation, naturally the participations included more than the members of Sangchong Mountain Sect. All the sects that had participated in the battle at Luo River, both large and small, had been invited. Chongding Peak, with a hubbub of voices, packed tightly with people as they jostled one another. Shen Jingzhou even saw quite a few familiar faces. Those beautiful Taoist nun triplets were pestering a person with sweet and gentle words. In fact, it was a person who wore a veil. It was a person who wore a veil, looked cool and elegant, and radiated an atmosphere of integrity. Lu Mingyan. I love her. I love her. When Shen Qingqiu observed Luo Bingke's harem together now, not a one of them to be bested in beauty, he was filled with an intense, curious feeling. He looked on intently, the way he always had, though he could no longer hold on to the male fantasy mentality while doing so. He sent 2 more side glances at them, and only heard those 3 sisters say coquettishly, "Good sister, good master, good senior, please give us an autograph." An icon, truly. "We went through so much difficulties to meet the author. Please leave us a memento." "Is it truly to be discontinued with no further reprints?" Within their grasp, they held a small, gaudy book, which they pushed into Lu Mingyan's hands. It looked incredibly familiar. Shen Jingzhou puzzled over it to himself and felt it merited his attention. He was just thinking about walking closer to see what the 3 giant words on the cover were, when suddenly a skulking silhouette flashed by him. Shen Jingzhou took a couple steps to catch up to that person and grab them. "You still have the guts to come to Chongding Peak," he said in a chilly voice. "You're not afraid of Qi Qingqi cutting you into pieces?" Having been caught, Shang Qinghua almost fell to his knees on the spot. But when he heard Shen Jingzhou, he breathed a long sigh of relief. "Oh, why be like this, cucumber bro?" he said as he turned around. "No matter what, the 2 of us are comrades from the same hometown, friends forged in the heat of battle. Don't be so quick to chase me out." "Since you dared come to Sangchong Mountain, I assumed you've already succeeded at whitewashing your reputation." "Correct," said Shang Qingqiu. No, said Shang Qinghua. "I was afraid I'd scare you if I said so. I might soon return to being the Anding Peak Lord, and it's all thanks to Bingo. May he live long and prosper." "Your Qingyuan is taking you back?" "This is called the prodigal son's return, the wayward heir mending his ways. Besides, I've never done anything to offend the heavens, so why wouldn't he take me back?" Shen Jingzhou let go of him and said angrily, "Changmen Shisheng is simply too kind." Shang Qinghua straightened his collar. Why else would he be so unfortunate? Kind people get taken advantage of. Shen Jingzhou looked him up and down. "Due to all my blind fumbling around, your entire novel has been distorted beyond recognition, but you don't seem unsatisfied at all." "I wouldn't say that," said Shang Qinghua. "Maybe it's you. It was only blind fumbling that was a worthless... What? It was only blind fumbling that was as worthless as shit. But to Bingo, your blind fumbling might be the only meaning to the world's existence." To think Great Master Airplane shooting towards the sky could say such words. I was tripped up with that. What the hell? Love how MXTX goes, well, this character may have done shady stuff, but what the supposedly righteous structures would fall apart without them. So looking at you, Lingwen. I love Lingwen so much. Oh man. I want these 2 to meet. They'd hate each other. No, she'd hate him, obviously, but... Shen Jingzhou was horrified. "And who is this distinguished gentleman?" "Don't be like that," Shang Qinghua said seriously. "I, too, am a young man with literary ideals, so of course I'd have my own thoughts and regrets." Shen Jingzhou sneered. "What literary ideals? How come the only thing I could see in your book was fan service with no bottom line, and your writing speed of 10,000 words a day with intermittent bursts of 20,000s? That was your appeal. Without those underlying components, Proud Immortal Demon Wei could never have made it past early serialization." If Shang-Chi ever sends a video about it. True. Chang Qinghua shrugged. Do you think I started out writing things with no moral integrity or bottom line? In the past, I wrote works of pure literature, but every single one flopped, so I could only start down the road of mass-market products. You must know that writing a novel is a lonely thing, compared to writing the kind of stallion guy who's everywhere on Zhangdian. It's better to portray a male lead like the current Binga, whose life is full of mishaps, whose personality is a bit more complex and full of contradictions and conflicts. That kind of weirdo. That kind of weirdo! That's more in line with my writing philosophy. So your writing philosophy is about writing gays? Shen Qingzhou concluded. He's being homophobic again. To himself. Are you looking down on great gay protagonists? The arts and artists love portraying gays. Pure literature highly favors gays. You know that, right? Chang Qinghua raised his arms high. Cucumber bro, he said, impassioned. If the system hadn't selected you, a loyal and die-hard reader, I'm afraid the plot would have never been distorted to this extent. Right back to the outline it discarded. I wouldn't be able to withstand the loneliness in real life and cave to financial pressure, so I chose to finish Proud Immortal Demon Way in accordance with others' tastes. However, thanks to you, everything I wanted to write has already played out before me, Cucumber Bro. He clapped Shen Qingzhou's shoulder solemnly, filled with deep emotion. Okay, now my neck is starting to act up. You are the chosen one, and my career is at last wiped clear of regrets. Why did that make it sound like the system in this world were the creation of Shang Qinghua's regrets, as an author who had to scrap his outline in favor of popular opinion? Shen Qingzhou found the idea of becoming this kind of chosen one too shameful. Who's your die-hard reader? Shang Qinghua waved. I won't talk to you about this, he said, unilaterally declaring his victory. You're an anti-fan. Shen Qingzhou was about to say, I'm only an anti, not a fan. But then he suddenly heard Shang Qinghua humming. Something like, love warms, grace sways, our lips come together. I wish this night would last unto the morn. All day, all night, unto eternity. The important part was that this tune was incredibly familiar. So familiar that Shen Qingzhou's hands and teeth itched. He pointed at Shang Qinghua. Shang Qinghua, what are you humming? Shang Qinghua continued to hum. We know not when one day becomes the next, nor when Zhengyang's sun will finally rest. The rustle of autumn, Shuya unsheathed, icy water gushes forth, choking sobs. We plead unfulfilled, and we start again. Shen Qingzhou was in disbelief. Fuck you! I dare you to sing another line! Master Shen, why don't you listen to others? You absolutely must not fuck other people. Bingo will lose it. Let me tell you right now. This regret of Chunshan has become something like the 18th Touches, footnote, a traditional Chinese folk song with several variants, famous for its risque nature, leading it to have been banned multiple times. The two of you are legendary gays known nationwide. Get it? You can go ahead and shut me up. I don't care, because ultimately... Turning the page. It'll be useless. You can't shut the mouths of everyone beneath the heavens. At last, Shen Qingzhou beat the crap out of Shang Qinghua the way he'd always wanted to. This asshole, this giant asshole, this kind of plot hole digging author who not only refused to fill his holes, but left everything unfinished, who rejoiced as his characters jumped the shark all the way to Siberia, who even dragged his reader in to patch up his work. You can't, saying you up, really deserve to be beaten to death. You can't tell this, but you can't tell this is true. It's so true. He did that. Oh my god. He was just about ready to drag the whimpering airplane shooting towards the sky, currently prone like a corpse, into a small patch of pitch black forest so he could continue with said beating. So he could continue. He was gonna kill him. Oh my god. So he continued with said beating when he heard a familiar voice chanting Amitabha behind him. Master Wu Chen said, "Peak Lord Shen is safe and sound, truly 1,000 fortunes." Shen Jingzhou straightened and turned around to see the two abbots from Jiaohua Monastery together with Yue Qingyuan walking slowly in his direction. He tossed Zhang Qinghua aside and tidied himself up. Sorry, so stupid. So stupid. He tossed Zhang Qinghua aside and tidied himself up a bit, then smiled sincerely from his heart. "Jiangmen Shishong, Master Wu Chen, Master Wu Wang." There was no trace of weakness in Yue Qingyuan's complexion as he smiled back. Wu Wang sent Shen Jingzhou a side glance, then walked off somewhere else, full of disdain. He had the expression of an old Taoist full of toxic, feudal-era ideals, who had just seen a fallen woman. Shen Jingzhou felt like he'd been struck by lightning and shivered. "Please don't mind Wu Wang Xishong, Peak Lord Shen," said Master Wu Chen. "Ever since this one lost his legs at Jinlan City, he's been filled with hatred towards the demon race, to the point even Peak Lord Shen... ... Shen Jingzhou rubbed his nose and said indifferently, "It's fine." Being disdained by a bald old donkey didn't matter much. "Although," Master Wu Chen said, "he's gotten much better now. In the period Tanlang Jun had been staying in Jiaohua Monastery, he's never given him a hard time." "Your honored monastery took Tianlang Jun into custody?" asked Shen Qingqiu. "No, not really custody," said Master Wu Chen. "This one only wishes to freely discuss Buddhism with him while also helping to relieve the decay of the dew mushroom body. He'll stay for a couple years until he's stabilized, then he can go wherever. At that time, whether he wishes to continue wandering the human realm or prefers to take Zhuji Lang's It's just a fucking throwaway sentence, what the hell? Or if he prefers to take Zhuji Lang's bones and return to the demon race, will all be up to him. This one believes that there is no anger within him. Even if there has been once, it has since dispersed." My baby. He's not gone, actually. Canon is... that doesn't matter. He's actually still alive. He's still alive. Master Wu Chen's legs had been destroyed by the sowers in Jinlan City, and the sowers had been sent by Tianlang Jun. Yet, he hadn't taken this incident to heart at all. Shen Jingzhou's heart couldn't help but well with admiration. On top of that, the master's compassion was neither haphazard or carelessly bestowed. Skelejuji Archive. What the fuck? Skelejuji Arc. Oh my god. No. At their final goodbye, Shen Jingzhou had also felt that Tianlang Jun sorry. That Tianlang Jun had no longer had any interest in destroying the world. From the start, it wasn't what he'd really wanted to do or something he'd liked doing. It was just, now that there was no Judy Long to foolishly follow him around and foot his bills, beat away miscellaneous soldiers, or collect interesting pocketbooks for him, it was probably inevitable that, at times, he'd feel sad. Just like the Shenjingzhou at present. Jiahua Monastery's monks left first and walked toward Chongding Hall, but even though he was the sect leader, Yue Qingyuan didn't go with them. Instead, he stood in place, silently staring at Shenjingzhou. For some reason, it became comparatively more awkward. As if testing the waters, Yue Qingyuan said, Xiaozhu. Xizhong, said Shenjingzhou. It's Qingzhou. Even though it would be too difficult to tell Yue Qingyuan the truth, Shenjingzhou still hoped he could demonstrate the difference in other ways. Yue Qingyuan was stunned for a bit, then gave a small smile. It's Qingzhou. Qingzhou, Shidi. Shenjingzhou looked at Xuansu at his waist. He had yet to speak when Yue Qingyuan spontaneously said himself, Shidi need not worry. After a few more months of secluded cultivation, all should be well for a time. Then Jiangman Qishong must not impulsively draw his sword in the future, said Shenjingzhou. Once cultivation can be improved, more breakthroughs can always be achieved, but one's life force can never be returned. Yue Qingyuan gently shook his head. One's life force is not the only thing that cannot be returned. The two of them walked slowly toward Chongding Hall. Along the way, they heard the joyful laughter of young disciples and the burst of fireworks overhead. What are your plans for the future? Asked Yue Qingyuan. I have no plans for the time being, said Shenjingzhou. First, I'll wait for Luo Bingke to return and see how he's doing. Yue Qingyuan smiled. I truly adore that disciple. Shenjingzhou was searching for a way to answer when Yue Qingyuan said, Shidi, Sangchong Mountain will forever be a place to which you can return whenever you tire of wandering the outside world. These words were said with utmost sincerity and solemnity. Yue Qingyuan had always been this way. Whatever he promised, he would definitely deliver. And what he couldn't deliver, he would endeavor to make up for, no matter the cost. After assuming the role of this novel character, Shenjingzhou had always refused to become the Scum villain from the original work. He'd drawn a clear boundary between them and taken great pride in walking the opposite path. So never before had he felt such a powerful and impulsive thought. If only he really were Shenju. If only that person could really hear these words. Shenjingzhou's steps became slower and slower when suddenly, like he'd sensed something, he raised his head and looked into the distance. On the other side of the crowd, right before it, was Luo Bingke. He stood at the foot of the white stone steps leading to Chongding Peak's main hall. He stood utterly alone without a single person beside him. When the people walking past saw his face, their own faces filled with all sorts of expressions. Shenjingzhou involuntarily ran forward a couple of steps, then turned his head to look at the person behind him. Go on, said Yue Qingyuan. He stood behind Shenjingzhou, silent and with good grace. It was as if one was... It was as if one was the past and the other the future. 1 year, the demon race had not known what was good for itself, and so had come to Chongding Peak to provoke them with a show of strength. They'd spent a good chunk of time smashing, hitting, burning, and plundering, and had even smashed a bunch of floor tiles with a hammer. Luo Bingke was staring at a crack between the white tiles on the ground when he heard the familiar snap of a fan opening. A pair of white shoes stepped onto the stone crack, which was already spotted with green moss. He abruptly raised his head. Shen Jingzhou waved his fan. Don't say a word. First, let this master ask you. As a disciple, why did you not respectfully wait for your Shizun to wake up, but instead go to run about the outside world? Luo Binghe forced his head down, his excitement. Whatnot. Luo Binghe forced his excited expression. Nope. Luo Binghe forced down his excited expression, suppressing himself. No one on Sangchang Mountain welcomes my presence, so I could only secretly come to check in from time to time. Just now I didn't see Shizun at the Lingxi caves, and I thought they'd hidden Shizun away, or that Shizun had left again. As Shen Jingzhou listened to this meek defense, he couldn't help but remember what Shang Qinghua had just said. If he hadn't gone around pestering and harassing everyone and everything, perhaps Luo Binghe really would have darkened to the core and become the young man in the original work, someone who'd rend a person into a human stick with his bare hands, who cursed the world and himself. Although now, instead, he'd become a lovesick young man, so it wasn't really that much better. But at least he'd gained some lovable qualities. Or at least Shen Jingzhou had finally realized that he was quite fond of them. Shut up! Ah, they're so gay! Oh, they're so fucking gay! Shen Jingzhou sighed. You knew you weren't welcome, and you still dutifully sent me back to Sangchong Mountain. I thought that when Shizun woke up, he would definitely prefer seeing Sangchong Mountain first. Without caring about his image, Shen Jingzhou broke character and smacked Luo Binghe's forehead with his fan. Resentful of Luo Binghe's actions, he said, Of course what this master most wanted was to see you first. Luo Binghe had taken a thwack from a fan, but he was so excited that his entire face flushed red, his eyes becoming watery, like he wanted to speak, but he couldn't. Shen Jingzhou's entire body felt like it was going weak from his gaze. Then suddenly sounds of yelling and the clang of blades rose around them. Stupid bitch. Young Yishuan! Young Yishuan! Young Yishuan! Young Yishuan stood on the eaves of Chengding Peak's main hall and shouted, Sure enough, that demon ruffian came back to harass Shen Shibo. Hundreds of people responded to his call, and someone immediately shouted along with him. That bastard still has the gall to show his face. Get your weapons. Where's my weapon? That's my sword. Shishan, give it back. If you want to fight, go back and get yours. They're so perfect. They're so perfect. Hi, Kylo. Hi. I love them. Oh, they're so stupid. No wonder Luo Binghe hadn't hung around and waited for him to wake up. Merely showing his face on Sangchang Mountain had people screaming their intent to attack him. The warmth of his welcome was eminently clear. Not bad. Your judgment was correct, Shen Jingzhou said helplessly. Under these circumstances, sneaking in is indeed your only option. Oh god. Oh god, I actually need to prepare this before we get to it. Don't worry about me. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's... Whoa, what the fuck's happening to my face? Everything's fine. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay. I already said before that I wasn't welcome here, Luo Binghe said in a quiet voice. Shen Jingzhou patted his head. That's fine. Shizun welcomes you. Chengding Peak clamored with roars for violence, some genuine, some insincere, some insincere, raring to have a go. Just a bunch of people who craved nothing but havoc. In even greater numbers were the peaceful passerby, all turning a blind eye to the devil in human form that was Luo Binghe. Shen Jingzhou didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Take a shot. Why don't we leave then? he asked. For a moment, Lo Binghe couldn't manage to react. Leave? Shen Jingzhou nodded. Didn't you say that you weren't welcome here? Then let's leave and go somewhere that does welcome you. He added, this time, no matter where you go, this master will accompany you. Lo Binghe's face had always appeared very quick and clever, but now his expression was thoroughly dumbfounded because of these few words. It was hard to look at. Other than Sangchong Mountain's disciples, Chongding Peak was also packed with the cultivators from various sects who'd come to attend the celebration. On top of their senses being sharp, Shen Jingzhou had also deliberately refused to lower his voice, so of course everyone had heard him very clearly. As one, they all feigned ignorance. The ones who had been watching the fireworks pointed and gestured at the sky. The ones who'd been lightly chuckling now laughed loud enough to raise the roof. They were being very cooperative, showing consideration for Sangchong Mountain's dignity. But Lu Qingge didn't appreciate this. He jumped down from the eaves and yelled at Shen Jingzhou, practically incoherent with rage. Hey! Qi Qingqi was beside herself with anger. I don't care anymore. Go wherever you like. Shen Jingzhou, you, both of you. Mingyan, let's go. What are you looking at? What's there to see? Is this your first time bearing witness to such shamelessness? Shimei, careful of the car. I don't know who's speaking this. Shimei, careful of the karma in your words. Mind the image of our respected Sangchong Mountain. Exactly what deep-set images did Sangchong Mountain have to the people? What the fuck is going on? Exactly what deep-set images did Sangchong Mountain have in the people's hearts, outside of covering for the faults of their own, their director of demolitions, their intimacy with demons, and their master-disciple pair who'd starred in a famous porno? Shen Jingzhou considered this for a while and came up empty. Initially, he'd been pulling Lo Binghe along by the hand. Who knew when it had become Lo Binghe pulling him along instead? I think we can put this up now. I think we could have put this up a little minute ago, but here we go. Look at his face! Look at his fucking face! Oh my god. They're so precious. I'm not crying. No. Anyway. He felt those 5 fingers on the back of his hand slowly tighten, clamping down until it hurt. Lo Binghe gently raised his head, and the entire night sky with its river of stars sparkled within the depths of its pitch-black eyes. It was almost like, if he wasn't careful, some glittering treasures would fall from them. Shen Jingzhou took all this in stride, looking back on everything. His heart had transformed, becoming like that of an old monk on a pilgrimage to retrieve scriptures. He'd suffered through 81 hardships, and after much pain and struggle, finally produced a right result. Footnote refers to the hardships of the trials of Tang Sanzang suffered on his pilgrimage to India in the Chinese classic Journey to the West. So let him cry. After all, Lo Binghe always behaved this way, a plot with so many ups and downs and such intense chaos and disorder, to the point that it was constantly like being struck by lightning on a clear day. Honestly, Shen Jingzhou also wanted to burst into tears. And with this peerlessly bizarre book's complete and successful transformation, Great Master Airplane Shooting Towards the Sky's career was now doubtlessly devoid of regrets. While the unparalleled ranting critic, Peerless Cucumber, could no longer say he disdained it in the way he once had either. The author wouldn't fill in the plot holes, so this great one had been forced to take matters into his own hands. In the long river of history of great and mighty Zhongdian stallion novels, What reader had led the what reader had led the charge like him? Heartily coughing up blood while putting himself on the line to fill in plot holes, just to rescue the B points of a brainless power fantasy, a peerless marvel of work that had the writing quality of a grade school essay. Even though the direction had gone a bit awry during said rescue process, at least he'd really managed to achieve you can, you up, no can, no BB. The moment Shenjingzhou had flipped open Proud Immortal Demon Way, the story had begun, but as he shut Proud Immortal Demon Way, the story had yet to end. Or perhaps the story circulating through the world might already have ended. But the story between you and me has only begun. The end. The end. I fucking love this book so much. God. I need a moment, chat. I need a moment to be beside myself. Alright, thank you very much. Oh, I can put it down, I guess. Oh man, look at them! Look at them! They're so... Look at his face! Oh. Oh, okay. I don't know. I'll let it wait for now, I guess. Thank you. So, how do you like my favorite book? So how do you like my favorite series? My favorite books. God, I really read that whole chapter. That's crazy. I've been here for almost 3 hours. About 3 hours. That's crazy. Hybrids and solidarity, real. So here's the thing. We have one more book, but it's not a book. It is it's extras. The last book is extras, and the extras are peak. But I don't think I can get away with reading like the first chapter. The first chapter? Yeah, the first chapter on stream. Maybe I can partially, but then partially not. But yeah, I really fucking love it's almost cheesy, but it's so perfect because you know that it's Shen Yuan who's this is his book. He wrote this, you know? It's Shen Yuan through his POV this whole time, so obviously. And then he breaks the fucking fourth wall. Ugh. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. It's so simple, but so effective. How long is this series? This has been this is the third book. This is the last book of the main story, and then the fourth book is the side stories. Actually, it's pretty short for a lot of Denmei. It's like one of the shortest. But it's my favorite. It's the one I started reading Danmei with. Like, this is my first Danmei, and it's still my favorite. So it does have a very I am completely biased towards it. But it just has everything I love. It just has everything I love. So yeah, of course it's my favorite. Of course it's my favorite. I may have it may be the only thing I've read fanfic for like 8 months. Amazing. That's amazing. Like legit, I'm gonna go and listen to some podfics after. Actually, you know what? Nah, whatever. Yeah, I want to look at. I want to see if anybody has made any more podfics of these. TGCF first for you. TGCF. Whoa, that one's the longer one. That one's so good too, though. Oh my god, I was talking about beef leaf with my friends the other day. I was crying about it. We were watching the audio drama. You know, beef leaf. You know, if you know beef leaf, you know the part. Yeah, totally spoilers for them, but it's okay. It's beautiful. I don't know if I'm brave enough to read Heaven Official's Blessing all. But yeah. I do have books that I want to read. I know that Little Mushroom is getting that what is it? Seven Seas has picked up Little Mushroom. So maybe by the time we're done with the fourth book of this, we'll have Little Mushroom? Possibly? I don't know. That one's one I really want to read. It's so cute. But I also have Peerless. Either way, we're not done with Scum Villain yet. There's still more. The visit to the special place with family time. Yeah, family time. Yeah. Yeah, that part. For sure. Anyway, I will. I think I. Oh my god, I don't know. I don't even know. What do we even do now? Oh my god. Yay, hi Shady. They're so fun, right? It's so fun. And even if you're not like caught up with it, it's still. That's what I love about Scum Villain. Even if you don't know what the fuck is going on, it's still enjoyable regardless. It's still very silly and fun. We get the wine. Oh my god, I forgot about that part. Yeah, we can't read that chapter on here either. Oh my god, that will have to be pre-recorded. So yeah, for Twitch viewers, I mean, you probably know. Let me look at how far in the smut. When smut happens in the first chapter. I definitely think we have enough time to like start it on stream. Because the first chapter is long. The first book. Let's see. Oh well. It's about 50 pages. Oh no, it's about 60 pages. What do we think? Can't confirm. That took me a bit to start following. It's so complicated. It's like, what timeline are we in? What's happening? Let me. It is 60 pages, and I'll probably only read like 40 pages. So yeah, it'll probably be fine. I'll just read the last bit off stream. And then the next stream we can get into the next chapter. Yeah, it'll just be like a chapter, like a, what is it? Part 1, novel 4, part number 1, part 2. That part will be part 2. So yeah, it'll just be a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna head out. I had so much fun. I hope you had fun too. I hope you enjoyed this. If you are ever inclined to actually go back or like to understand what the fuck happened in this book, feel free to check out my YouTube. I have a whole backlog of the readings on there. Yeah, I have a whole playlist, a podcast playlist. I have other books too, so if you're interested. Yeah, oh my god, I'm so tired. I have to go. I had so much fun. Oh, I love this book so much. Thank you for joining me. Seriously, this has been like something I've wanted to do a lot for a long time. Yeah. I will see if I have anyone to raid. I don't have to hear anymore. Yeah. Catch up before the next volume. I might, Should I give you a week before to catch up, maybe? I don't know. I kind of just really want to get into it though. I love it. All right, let me see. Let me see. What? Who? What? No, this is not on my following. Okay, that's why. Is it? Is it? Okay. Let's raid Kadu. Kadu? I don't know. Let's raid them. Okay, I will see you later. I'll get my schedule out. Honestly, probably tomorrow. But yeah. I'll post that and share that. And yeah. Thanks for the bets. Okay. Let's raid. Let's start raid. Alright. Thank you for joining me. Be safe. Stay chill. I don't know. Be safe. Be cool. I'll see you later. Bye bye.